Gorilla in Regina. Welcome inside Game Day After Dark. Darren Bombing, Zach Schnitzer. I'm in Regina, borrowing a hotel room for the post-game show here. Zach back at home base in Winnipeg. We witnessed just an unbelievable, razor-thin, tight football game. The Bombers come ahead with the victory, 20-18. Winnipeg locks down a playoff spot for sure. The Riders drop back to 500 on the season. Thanks to everybody for joining us live here on the channel. Zach, first thoughts on that Blue Bombers victory. What a game.
You know what my first thoughts are, and it's nothing too sexy or anything, Darren. I mean, we won on Labor Day, which in the past for the Bombers would have been cause for, running around naked around your block, which I surely would have done. But this one was different because this is a different team. And, they were down 14-0, Darren. And I thought to myself, okay, this is the kind of team that can come back from this. I'm not sure that they will, but they can. And they tie it up at 17 at half. And then the third quarter happens, and it's just this defensive struggle because these are two good defenses. But as banged up as the Bombers were, to pull it out like that, and they do it in a workmanlike, Danny Austin, our buddy from Calgary, called it a little bit boring, but they're disciplined, Darren.
Yeah.
They don't beat themselves. They don't take stupid penalties, which is ultimately, in my opinion, what killed the Riders. They were in field goal range 3 times. Lowther misses one. Penalties take them out of another. And then it's a pick. It's that classic late game Cody Fajardo pick. So the Bombers just let the game come to them. They trust the process. It ain't super sexy or pretty sometimes, although those TD passes by Zach were ridiculous. But they win. And this is the type of win on the road on Labor Day that is a signature win for a dynasty, for a championship team.
Isn't this a signature win with like the way the Bombers did it? Keeping it kind of tight all game, but just making it happen when it matters. Marc Liegghio.
Yes.
1 point margin in the game after they allow the single point. Everybody kind of clenching their teeth at that moment. 55-yard field goal on the road. Liegghio gets it through and gives the Blue Bombers the lead that eventually hung on to be the margin. What's up, Steve Smith? Yes, what a game indeed. Thanks for joining us and also pairing your Facebook channels to Bonfire Sports. You guys can look into that if you want to share our show with your social media followers as well. Zach Collaros, Zach really stood out to me tonight. You mentioned those touchdown passes. A lot of people were saying, like, Nick Dembski's catch, phenomenal catch. No question. Yeah. I had one person in my Twitter replies say that was all Dembski. No. Zach Collaros put it exactly where it needed to be, where the defender could not get it. Who was that defender? The guy Zach yesterday called special, and that's Derek Moncrief. The touchdown pass to Dalton Schoen, tiptoeing the sideline in the end zone. Perfect pass where only Schoen could get it. Collaros finished the day 63%. A lot of those incompletions coming in the latter part of the game. Went 15-24 for 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, got the job done. The run game really wasn't there when talking about the Blue Bombers offense, Zach. Brady Oliveira, 3.2 yards per carry, had 12 for 38 yards. You texted me during the game saying they just can't keep pounding it up the middle, but they did. Your thoughts on that, and then I'll share mine.
Well, here's the thing. I am always shouting for the sidelines or at the TV when they keep pounding it up the middle, Darren, and it doesn't work. They're getting for 3 yards, right? But that's their identity. They're a power run team. And I'm like, okay, I get it's your identity, but it's not working. The Riders beat them in time of possession and offense. It led to a lot of second and longs against a fearsome front seven, as you'll see in the CFL. But right on cue, when they were up 2018, the sweep to Dembski gives them a big 8 yards. And I thought, wow, like that is it's like Buck was just saving it for just when he needed it, Darren. And then you see Prukop on like it's only Prukop and Cornelius I see going for it in the wedge package on 2nd and 2, and he gets it with ease, and they're just salting away the clock, and it's just smart football. Now, was Buck banking on the fact that the Riders would beat themselves? Because you might want to argue that. We'll have to talk about that on Tuesday for my sober second thought. But I don't know, man. Like you saw that big McRae run outside the numbers in the first half. You didn't see it again. I didn't see a lot of hitches or screens, but it's just not who they are. They are who we thought they were, and they won.
Easy, Dennis.
They won, right? And Leggio,
off the hook.
Leggio, Darren. Like, you think you're sweating? Think of how the fans were sweating when this guy lines up for an effing 55-yard field goal in the fourth quarter. Brett Lowther's the one that was 3 for 3 in field goals over 50 yards. And here's Leggio. I don't think he'd attempted one over 48. And he nails it with 5 yards to go. He nailed it. And then that step around, he beat the punt block. That was a thing of beauty. He looked like a ballerina.
That was
a Baristikov.
Yeah. Unreal.
Unreal game by Leggio. But listen, man, that's why we love the CFL, because it's those special teams plays that can make the difference. But everybody on the chat, I mean, this is insane, the chat we have here. So happy to be back. Finally got my spot back from Hamilton. He was hanging on for dear life, but I have about 100 pounds on him. And we've already got 100 messages. 2 things, Darren. Shout out to my mother-in-law who's watching at Falcon Lake wearing her new away jersey that says number 1 mother-in-law. And 2, we got to talk about this Marino hit, because people are we don't usually, jump in front of things, but people are steaming mad. Like, everyone's talking about this. I saw someone who listened to the postgame say that the command center reviewed it and elected not to throw the flag. But I know you had to hop out of there before. But folks, tell us what you saw on that hit. I was making some notes, so I didn't really see it. I just saw Zach get up and was kind of rotating his throwing arm. But everybody's saying that was a garbage hit.
Describe the Garrett Marino hit on Collaros in the live chat right now. I love this comment from Kevin Capitola. If it's the Kevin Capitola I know, shout out St. James. What's going on, Kevin? Longtime pod listener, first time streamer. Thanks for coming over. Leg day, Kevin Capitola took it. Don't skip leg day. 55-yard FTW for the win. What a way to finish a Labor Day Classic that was neck and neck the whole way. Back to the Blue Bombers offense. Zach, I'm kind of with you. I think we're on the same page. Everything in Buck Pierce's system works out of play action, works out of a power run game. I think that's why Brady Oliveira struggled a little bit early in the season, because they were kind of trying to establish the things they wanted to do, the base offense. Yeah. Then it started to open up mid-season, right? And, the night and day that was the road game in Edmonton and then the road game in Calgary, I think really started to, spread the wings of what this offense could be. Let's not put it past the Saskatchewan Roughriders for a second. That defensive line with Charleston Hughes, Pete Robertson, like all-star level play, no question in my mind this year. AC Leonard, DeMarcus Christmas, Brown had the fumble recovery on the Robertson strip sack. And then, of course, Darnell Sankey in the middle, Larry Dean at weak side, Derek Moncrief at the dime. That's an off-the-charts front seven.
That's the best linebacking core in the league. If Winnipeg's linebacking core was healthy, maybe they go toe-to-toe, but even then, buddy, like those are some marquee names, right? Now, and so you try and run it up the gut.
Yeah. With that defensive front, this is what stood out to me. 50% the Blue Bombers were on second down conversions. They did have, I think it was 5 2-and-outs throughout the game. I think Saskatchewan finished with 3. The Riders put up 21 first downs. Winnipeg put up 16. 9 of them by rushing. We should spend a little bit of time talking about Frankie Hickson and the game he had, Zach. This guy isn't just like small and shifty and quick. He has power. He breaks tackles like nobody's business. 15 carries for 85 yards, has 5.7 yards per carry, and then chipped in 3 catches for 20 yards as well. All of those yards in the receiving game after the catch. So especially early in the game, I think that game opening drive, Zach, probably stuck in Blue Bombers fans' minds and all the way up until halftime, maybe even beyond, because Saskatchewan was just moving. There's a lot of criticism from Bomber Nation on Winnipeg's defense, especially early in the game. Second half was a different story.
You know what? I wasn't surprised. Like when I thought about the game, and this is why I didn't take the 3.5. I thought, I think Winnipeg's I wouldn't be surprised if they won on Labor Day. This is a different type of team, right, Darren? And similar type of team to last year. This is a championship team. This is a dynastic team. I thought the Riders had a decent path to win this game because of the injury to Clements. You had to bring in Briggs. They're not quite as fast in the middle there, right, against the run. Rutledge is a good run stopper. I thought we'd see a little bit more Malcolm Thompson, maybe helping in the linebacking core. He has done that, but I knew that they could run on us, and teams have run on us up the middle. When you lose Kyrie Wilson and you lose Mercy Maston, Darren, it's tough. And as much as the Riders blow chunks in pass protection, and they gave up a lot of chunks, right?
Ooh, that's you know what? That's a pretty good turn of phrase there. Giving up chunks by, well, I'll let you say it.
And not just sacks, but it's so many pressures, right? You saw Cody throw the ball away. You saw holding penalties. So I knew that they could run the ball. And then you had Parker on the weak side, right? And it's a halfback position that's very hard against the waggle for a rookie. And I thought if they can get the ball out quickly, once they establish the run, they could rack up some yards on us. And they have a good D-line. So my key to the game, and I stole it from you guys from your amazing car ride podcast.
Oh, yeah?
Going on to Regina. I think you were somewhere between Brandon and Weyburn or something. Somewhere. You guys said the key to the game is the Bombers O-line. Can they hold up? Can they hold up enough? And they did. I mean, they got beat sometimes. There was a play where Hardrick got absolutely pancaked by Pete Robertson. You saw even Stanley Bryant sometimes holding on for dear life. That's the best, maybe the best front seven in the league if you combine the linebackers and the D line. I know we have the Jeffs, right, and they caused havoc, but there was a pathway to win, and I almost wonder whether the Riders sort of beat themselves in this one, Darren. I know people don't like to hear that, but I try and be an objective fan. And when you lose field position because of Duke Williams, who's not even dressed, takes a 10-yard penalty to take them out of field goal range, are you freaking kidding me?
He was chirping away at the Bombers players near his bench.
Unbelievable. I thought it was Moore at first who got tackled, but man, like when you do, and you're in your own barn on freaking Labor Day and you're taking time count violations. You can't do that on Labor Day. But it's this undisciplined team, and I put it on Craig Dickinson. This is a guy who's the head coach, the leader of the team, and he needs to keep them in line. And he lets way too much crap go. If I parented my kids like that, my daughter would be down here right now eating chocolate, staying up late, acting like a banshee. And who would be to blame? Me. Well, probably her mother. No, just kidding. My mother-in-law is actually listening for the first time live, but you
Oh,
know,
hi,
like
Mama. How you
awesome
doing?
person,
Welcome.
one of my favorite people. First Labor Day we haven't watched together for a while, but my daughter had a birthday today, and I missed half the third quarter because I was putting my son to bed. He took
Isn't that the
forever.
beautiful thing? Isn't
God
that the
damn it!
beautiful thing, Zach, about the Labor Day Classic? Isn't that the beautiful thing that it reminds you of how you normally take it in, or those years gone by?
Oh
What was
yeah,
your favorite Labor Day moment? Oh, remember back in 2019, we went here on the Saturday night before the game? Or do you remember that drive home in 2016? That was ridiculous. Like all of
yeah.
those things, who you watch the game with, how you take it in, whether you make the trip or not. Tons of Bomber fans in the city. I wouldn't say last night too much. I know the Bombers team put on a party at Crave here on Victoria Avenue, but especially today, from breakfast right through to the game, lots of Bomber fans amongst the Green Loyals and the locals here in Regina. Zach, I want to throw a bit of a curveball at our audience compared to what we normally do here on Game Day After Dark. And huge shout out to all of you who are joining us live on Facebook and YouTube. Maybe you're watching on Twitter. If you are, head over to youtube.com/Bonfire Sports. Jump into the live chat. Give us your thoughts on today's Bombers win 2018 over the Riders and locking down a playoff spot now at 11-1 on the season. Okay, here's the curveball, Zach. We normally wait till a little bit later in the show to get into our Wallys Warrior, our Westwood Wide to the right, our Happy Honker Award, our game balls, all of those things. I think we should do it now. So jump into the live chat right now. Who is your player of the game? Who is your Wallby Warrior? Those are two different things. Okay, Zach, where do you want to start? We usually start with the Wallby's Warrior, right?
The Warrior, absolutely.
The Warrior. Let's do one for 63 here then.
Yeah, the Warrior to me was Marc Liegghio, because this guy, again, our only loss, you know, he kind of wore the goat horns for that. This is a second-year player. You have the legend Troy Westwood saying how much of this game is mental, and he goes into the feistiest rat dragon nest. I don't know what a rat dragon. I was thinking of, what is that? You know, hornet's nest. That's the one.
Hornet's nest. Yeah,
the
okay.
green hornet's nest. The hardest place to play, aside from the playoffs, is Labor Day in Mosaic, and he hits a 55. I want to say the F word, but 55-yard field goal. Like he hit I believe, Darren, he hit another field goal. He made all his point after attempts, and he danced around the rush. If that punt gets blocked, I don't think we win this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 2-point game. They would have had the ball in the red zone. It would have taken all the momentum away. Yes, Rat Dragon is better than Hornet Waiters. Okay. People like the Rat Dragon. Craig Smith, talk about a clutch kick. Like Lowther misses the 57-yarder, but yeah. Liegghio, like, talk about a warrior. And I'm talking about not a physical warrior, but you know, the way he danced around coverage there, Darren. Lots of people can hit 50-plus field goals, but it's the mental warrior. It's the resilience there. Yes. And you've talked about it a lot with Collaros, how the snap and clear, right? Makes a big mistake. He had a strip sack again in this game, just like Montreal. But he puts it away. He put the Montreal game away. He played great last game. His kickoffs were good. The kick coverage was pretty good. No, Liegghio was money.
Yeah. No, I agree. Not money Medlock, but Legs got the job done. Some of the people in the live chat, Bobman P says Liegghio for MOP. Gregory Liverpool, our good friend. Take care, Gregory. Understand not feeling the best, but glad you're with us. He says legs and legs. Yeah, how about this? Mentioned by Matt Carr. That was the ultimate comeback kick. No kidding. That could have easily been a loss for Winnipeg in Regina, which always stings more than other losses throughout the season.
Of course.
But huge comeback kick for Marc Liegghio.
And they were down by one, Darren. Like they were down by one. Right. I was shocked. I thought it was going to be some Mike O'Shea special teams magic from back in the day. I was shocked to see him trot out there. But our buddy Derek Taylor on OB said, according to the stats, Mosaic is the easiest place to kick, followed only by IG Field. I don't care. 55-yard. I don't know. He had some stat about that it's the easiest field to kick in for
You know what? Here's the
percentages.
thing. I asked Mike O'Shea yesterday at Mosaic during walkthrough about the wind because it was going to be hot. There could be gusts of wind, right? It's not just like a consistent wind. I understand it's a bowl style stadium. There is that gap next to Pill Country where wind can come in. So, you know, I was sure to ask O'Shea about that. And he says, yeah, absolutely. You have to get out there before the game, get a feel for it, understand what is possible. It seemed like the wind died down. I know sitting in the press box tonight when Brett Lowther rolled out for that 57-yarder, couple, you know, Regina-based reporters were mentioning that kick was with the wind. Mm-hmm. How much wind from that end into Pill Country, I'm not too sure, but Leggio goes the other way, hits from 55. Absolutely huge one there. So I'm glad you picked Marc Liegghio as your Wallys Warrior.
Can I just say one thing though, Darren? You know,
let me pick eventually, right?
I'll give you an edge here, but here's the thing. Everybody's pissed off because, you know, O'Shea kicks off to the Riders the beginning of the first half, and they kick off to the Riders the beginning of the second half. And people are like, what is he doing? That's the one thing I don't like about O'Shea. Because you get the wind in the fourth quarter. And yeah, maybe there wasn't much of a wind, Darren, but I don't know. You don't attempt a 55-yard kick for the win against the wind in the fourth quarter, because if he misses that,
yep,
that's coming back a long freaking way. You're on you're past midfield. Mm-hmm. That's the game possibly.
Yes.
So I just wanted to say that there's a method to Mike O'Shea's madness, and it's those little details that win you games. CFL is very hard to win games. We all know that, especially
you got to learn how to win, and those are the types of things you need to learn to do.
Exactly.
You know, a lot of people don't like the single points. I understand that. But after Vedvik had that 78-yard punt single, it set Winnipeg up on the 40. And, you know, Mike O'Shea talked about it earlier this week and the week prior as well. 40 yards is where they put the ball now. 40. Last year it was 30, 35? Either way, you're up to 40. You just need a couple first downs.
Yeah.
You need to move the ball, like, you know, one big chunk play or move the chains a couple times. You're in field goal range. And Mike O'Shea knew that. So what's one point when you know you're confident you can score 3? You have to be a little bit ballsy. You have to have some true confidence in your team and in your guys. And in, you know, as the Blue Bombers always say, play for the guy next to you. The Blue Bombers know how to win because they know when to take a calculated risk. It's never going to be absolute and perfect and always work out. But Mike O'Shea was confident following that punt single. Like, what did they do? Dalton Schoen 13 yards, Oliveira for 3. So that left them 2nd and 7. Then it was a 13-yard hit to Drew Wolodarski. Great catch by him on that broken play, if I remember correctly. Then an incomplete pass. Then a Larry Dean holding penalty on Chris Kolinkowski on Larry Dean. And that set them up 2nd and 20 from the 47. Then an incomplete pass. Well, there they were. 2nd and 20, or 3rd and 20 on the 47. It's like, well, this is where we got to go from. There's your calculated risk. You give up that point. You get enough yards to at least move it just within Marc Lieghio's field goal range. And it worked out. That's a good football team making a calculated risk.
Yeah.
Doesn't always work out, but it did for Winnipeg tonight. And I think if you stick to your, Mike O'Shea always says, or often says, you got to kind of feel the flow of the game and all of these things. It's never a textbook. Well, when this happens, when A happens, we go B, or when C happens, we go D. It matters how the game is going, how your offense is moving, how your defense is playing, how your special teams are covering and kicking, and the rest. But they put confidence in Marc Liegghio, I think, before anybody. or before anything else. Offense, defense, it was Leggio, you're our guy. Go out there, hit from 55, and he did. Huge redemption kick for the man they call Legs.
Absolutely. And people are talking about, just before we get your Warrior there, Darren, people are talking about the single point and the beauty of the single point. And I think that is the beauty of the single point, because you don't get that drama at the end of the game. I don't know that you try a 55-yard kick. Well, first of all, they wouldn't have been on the 40, but do you try a 55-yard kick for the win if you're not down by 1? I'm not sure. But it just adds a great wrinkle. And O'Shea and the Mafia, they're dyed-in-the-wool Canadian football junkies, man. They play the game, they live the game, they love the game, and they love every little nuance, man. And that's why the CFL is great, and that's why the Canadian Mafia is great, and they keep delivering, buddy. So who's your Wallys Warrior?
My Wallys Warrior tonight, and I'm glad you picked Leggio, because then I can go in a different direction. But huge shout out to you and that pick of Marc Liegghio for Wallys Warrior. I'm going to give the Warrior to the 5 guys up front. I understand there were some penalties tonight, but Winnipeg's offensive line did a good job against a viciously powerful, strong, and fast Stampede or Roughriders defensive front. I think Walby would agree with me too. Jeff Gray had a penalty, Chris Kolinkowski, maybe not the best play all the time, but it's hard to be perfect on the road in a place like Saskatchewan with the fans and the crowd noise and the rest. It's not just the quarterback communicating on offense. It's the offensive line with each other. Chris Kolinkowski at center calling the protections, and Gray to Stanley Bryant and Pat Neufeld to Jamarcus Hardrick and back. That's who I'm giving my Wallby Warrior tonight. They went out and got the job done and helped Winnipeg win.
That was the key to the game that you, Wyman, and Hamilton talked about in that a beautiful triumvirate of a
that was fun.
Of a road trip, eh?
Yeah, that was fun on the road.
You guys thought, that was great.
We're going to do one tomorrow on our drive back.
So nice. I was going to say, you guys should.
It won't be live because we'll be in the sticks. We'll be somewhere in Saskatchewan, Western Manitoba.
They don't have Wi-Fi in Saskatchewan, right?
No. And when you walk outside, your face feels dirty. Wait, is that somewhere else? I can't remember. Anyway, so Wallby Warrior in the books, Leggio and the offensive line from you and I, Zach. Your Westwood wide to the right tonight.
Oh, it's got to be Duke Williams. Because here's the thing. A couple of notes I wrote down. Saskatchewan gives up the most sacks. They have the most penalties in the league, and they're worst on second and long. And it was that middle point that burned them. And if you're a Rider fan, there must be I'd love to hear the post game and go on to riderfans.com, but there must be people just lathered in rage at Craig Dickinson, because this is the Riders threw everything they could they threw their best punch, Darren. They threw their best. Everything was working for them that needed to win that game. And I'm not saying that one play took it away, but in a 2-point game, you're at home. It's not only his lack of discipline, but it was Marino's. He should have been flagged. People have been telling me he was 2.5 seconds late. What are you doing? Like I said, you're at your own barn in the Labor Day Classic and you're taking time out. Right, and there was hands to the face. There was holding on a return. That was
that hands to the face. Jeff Gray got under the shoulder pad. There's kind of like that flap on the football shoulder pads. Well, his hand got up under it, and then it hit him in the face. So he was on
the gray
pad,
one,
but it just came up to the face. Say them's the breaks. I understand.
He's a big dude, but the Riders had one too, I think. And just I don't know the final numbers on their penalties. Maybe someone can tell us here. We got right to it here, Darren. But
Saskatchewan had 12 penalties for 99 yards. Winnipeg had 8 penalties. That's high.
That is
per
high
their
for the
norm,
Bombers.
at 40 yards, which
But
is
those
manageable.
are Labor Day penalties. A lot of those were offsides when you can't hear the snap count, and the Jeffs are just champing at the bit, man. Like 40 yards is not bad for a Labor Day, I don't think.
Pumper has his social media channels paired up tonight. What's going on,
Yeah.
Pumper? Good to see you.
Pumper, hey buddy.
My Westwood wide to the right. Oh gosh, I'm gonna go with the strange challenge that Craig Dickinson made in the first half, losing his timeout on the offensive pass interference. Shaq Evans quite clearly. I don't understand why he did that. I think that was a miss for the Riders and Craig Dickinson. So that's my Westwood wide to the right.
Take me through that, Darren, because I missed that putting the little guy to bed.
Let me check my notes here.
Or someone on the chat, please fill in too.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
So it was a Shaq early in the third quarter. Shaq Evans offensive pass interference. So sorry, I said in the first half. But that was a 5-play drive. That challenge, the call ended up being upheld, and that was what led to the 57-yard Brett Lowther field goal. So tied at 17, maybe Craig Dickinson was thinking this can help us save some field or get into field position or save our drive and get another down to be able to get closer to field position. I mean, mid third quarter tie game, you need points every time you touch the ball. Following that 57-yard miss, Zach, Winnipeg went 2-0. Sask went 2-0. Winnipeg went 3 plays and a punt. Sask went 7 plays and then a punt after Leggio really pinned them deep early in the fourth quarter. Then Winnipeg went 2-0. Then Sask went 2-0. And then eventually, as I ran out of the building, Nick Hallett makes that interception. And I could hear the crowd grumble and then roar and then grumble, which was really something to be inside that building and a sold-out crowd at Mosaic Stadium. Okay, well, so we've done our Wallys Warrior and our Westwood wide to the right. Where do you want to go now?
Yeah. Well, I just want to, if I could add a quick addendum to my wide to the right. Someone on the chat reminded us that there was a unnecessary roughness penalty as well on the Riders. I forget who it was against.
Oh, that was the helmet to helmet hit on Greg.
Right. The one that Glenn Suter was like, oh, I don't agree with that. Like, they're just playing football. I'm like, come on, Glenn Suter. I mean, I get it. He's trying not to be a homer, and that's very hard to do. And he tries, I know, but like that was an obvious shot to the head on McRae.
I'm not commenting on where he's coming from. I'm commenting on the fact that Glenn Suter was a safety. So, playing safety in the late 80s, early 90s, now, he used to be able to make those hits and they were clean. But Glenn knows and everybody else knows that is an illegal hit. Yeah. That is a penalty every single time. McRae's a small guy. He's coming across the middle, and as he, goes for the ball, he kind of even comes down a little bit. But who got the penalty? It was
Mike Edam.
Yes, Mike Edam. So Edam just never stopped going down for him, right?
He could have avoided that easily.
He very much could have. So I understand wanting to finish your hit and the rest, but no doubt that was a penalty. 7 days of the week. Okay, do you want to do our happy honker before we hand out our game balls and our player of the game?
Well, I want to give a happy honker to Sarah Orlesky. It was her second last game. She was clearly emotional. She's been absolutely awesome for the CFL. It can be tough when TSN has the absolute monopoly on the CFL, and people have their issues with TSN, and sometimes they should. But I'm gonna miss her. Talk to a lot of people who have met her in person and just say she's really friendly and nice and. We're gonna miss Sarah. It's gonna be nice. I hope we can give her a great standing ovation or a wave. That's worth a wave next week at the Banjo Bowl, Darren. But
maybe
she definitely gets maybe halftime. Definitely gets my happy honker. She's from Winnipeg, and as you said, she's gonna have more time with her family and all those things. So it looks like even Rider fans were nice to her and recognized her. Darren.
No question. Yeah, no, Winnipeg, born and bred. Sarah, is I consider her a very close friend and colleague. She has always been dear and uh, dear to me and helpful and frankly reassuring. Her and I
Yeah.
are the same age, and we both grew up in the western part of Winnipeg. So we have some similar ties there. But she's been in the industry a lot longer than I. Working in BC for the Score and then TSN before moving to Toronto and then eventually Winnipeg when the Jets came back.
Yeah.
People say she, like you said, like everybody says she's nice and she's great and no question. But if you know Sarah, there is nobody on earth who would ever say anything even marginally concerning about her. She is that genuine and kind of a person. When I worked with her doing hits for tsn.ca and for Sports Center on camera with Freddie, our good buddy who's been was Sarah's cameraman for a long time, working the wind machine, as Sarah always enjoys. And she would just put me at ease, like, hey, you want to do another take? Or, this is going to be live. Don't worry about it. You got this. We're going to go this topic, this topic, this topic. And she'd nail it. She would nail in helping her teammate, helping me. So we are going to miss Sarah so very much. Classy move by the Mosaic crowd and the Roughriders organization and giving her the acknowledgement on the sidelines. TSN team here in Sask giving her the cake, which was a really nice thing. And the last thing I'll say on this, Zach, and I think this is extremely important. There are young women and girls that watch sports and love sports and want to be broadcasters and journalists and writers and bloggers and on camera and behind the scenes. They want to do all of it. And to see someone like Sarah Orlesky, not just in a studio, like we see, fantastic female sportscasters on Sportsnet and TSN and other stations across the country, but to see her on the sidelines at games, to see her at different events, hosting charity events, hosting awards events, and all those sorts of things, and doing it so well, so professionally, I think provides a lot of inspiration and, belief that if you want to do it, you can do it, because Sarah was one of those trailblazers doing just a fantastic job for so many years. We had our media dinner here in Regina last night, Zach, and I mean like radio and print and TV and all different types of people from all the outlets. And coming for dinner was Britt Dort of CTV Regina and Daniela Potticelli, who does sidelines on the Rider radio broadcast. She also does play-by-play, new this year, for the Regina Rams sports program. She just called the game at IG Field against the Bisons on Saturday.
Awesome.
On Friday night. Got back in Regina at 4 a.m. and then she was out with us, for dinner at night. Her and I were college friends. Great to catch up with them. Check out their social media. I liked a couple of their tweets from Britt and Daniela. That's the next generation, and they talk about Sarah as the trailblazer, as the OG. She did it.
OG, I love it.
Next in line can do it as well. So, wishing Sarah the best. Very happy we're still going to be able to see her lots on the TSN Jets broadcast and on Jets TV and with the Winnipeg Jets organization. So very cool thing there. So I think that's a great happy honker. We should make it unanimous for that tonight. Her final game,
unanimous. Yeah.
Her final game will be next week in Winnipeg, which is, I think, a nice, bon voyage to her in her hometown.
Well, and I don't want to put too much attention on this. Maybe talk about this more Tuesday. But Paul Friesen of the Winnipeg Sun wrote a very important article about the Flack, and like Flack is a nice word for what Leah Hextall takes as
garbage.
A play-by-play, like
garbage,
like absolute criminal harassment stuff that she takes, and a lot of people don't like her as a play-by-play voice. They say it's not because she's a woman. Regardless, if you're a woman, we still live in a society where you have to work harder and you can't afford to miss as much as men do. And Sarah is a trailblazer, and you have to be courageous as a woman to work in sports because you get a ton of shit. I'll just say it, a ton of it. and you have to be. You talk about the Bombers being resilient. She's resilient, and I know my mother-in-law's listening, and she's a trailblazer. And if you have a strong woman in your life and in your family, like, man, that gives me so much confidence in my daughter. And my mother-in-law raised an amazing mom who is a doctor, and still, unlike her male colleagues, gets addressed by her first name. But her male colleagues gets addressed doctor. Like, it still
Really?
happens, right? And that's a subtle one, but you may not like Leah Hextall, and that's not the point I'm making. But trust me, Sarah Orlesky has got some crap thrown at her because she's a woman, and she's still around. So hats off to her.
I'm with you there, and again, not to beleaguer the point, but all of us in the media get flack sometimes. It does seem, especially in sports, that females get more of it. And in the case, like, I'm with you. If you don't like somebody's work, fine, you're entitled to your opinion. That's fine. We live in a free society. But to make personal attacks, threats, disgusting comments about all types of garbage, that is way, way too far. Nobody deserves that, no matter what. It's sports. It's supposed to be a reprieve from the real stresses in life. But let's leave it there. I'll take a shot.
Right.
We will digress. Zach,
let's digress.
Okay, so game balls. Are we doing
baby?
Game balls and a player of the game? No, we're just doing the game balls.
No, the game balls are the player of the game, and this is a hard one, right? Like, this is a hard one because part of me wants to go to Dembski. Okay, so Dembski again steps up, just like he did last week, because as you said in the pregame with Walby, a lot of teams are maybe bracketing Schoen a little bit. So Dembski is the next man up, right? We haven't seen Bailey targeted a whole lot. He's maybe more of that last year's Darvin Adams of the trenches doing the dirty work. But, Dembski was a hell of a play by the DB. I think it was Milligan, away from getting a 70-yard touchdown. Like, that was a perfectly, no DA in the chat here is saying that's the best ball he's ever seen Zach throw. That was the second deep ball in the second half. And Milligan, it wasn't even his man, comes over at the last second and tips it away. You imagine Dembski gets that touchdown? Like, he jumped off the page. 3 carries for 17 yards, was a long of 9, which I think was the sweep. And then he gets 5 of 6 for 79 yards, 20 yak yards. He gets the 50-yard touchdown that put the Bombers back in the game. I can't decide if it's him or if it's I know you could easily give it to Zach Collaros. You could always get, because he has the game in his hands, right? The most snaps, the most time with the ball. But I thought Willie Jefferson jumped off the page to me, Darren. And he doesn't get all the sacks, and they don't count pressures anymore. But he was in. Do I? Yeah, I call myself a media personality now. I do on Twitter.
Yeah.
I wasn't invited to the fancy dinner or anything, but that's not why I'm in this. I'm in this for just the fun. Yeah. And that's not a shot at you.
I'm a reporter by trade, right? I write for NHL.com. I write for
You're Canadian a media guy.
Yeah, I'm kind of stuck. I'm stuck there.
I'm more of a media guy. I just like to hear myself talk. But Darren, Willie Jefferson jumped, and Jackson Jeffcoat, they jumped off the page. I know they missed Cody Fajardo a couple times, and hats off to Cody Fajardo. He played a hell of a game.
Well tonight.
I thought he played very well.
He was 72% passing, 23 of 32, 292 yards. Threw an interception. Of course, that one tipped by Frankie Hickson and grabbed by Nick Hallett in the waning moments of the game. No touchdowns. But overall, a pretty good game for...
and to be able to escape the pressure that was under, the Bombers know his patented spin move, and with that knee, he's not 100%, but he was able to get out of the pocket, get away from the rush. But the Jeffs, and I think particularly Jefferson, was in his face all game, so he gets a game ball for me. He was I think I don't know if he tipped that ball that was intercepted, Darren, when Fajardo was winding back. It didn't look like he tipped it, but for sure Fajardo would have heard he would have heard footsteps, right? Like Jefferson was right there. Those things make a difference to a quarterback. And then Hickson, sure enough, tips it, which I'd have to ask a receiver, but is that something that you're sort of taught not to do? Because it just basically for Hickson, like he couldn't have caught it. It was too far away. And then he makes, like, if he just bats that ball down.
Keep going, Zach. I'll be right back.
Yeah. He could bat that ball down, but he tips it up into the air, which is an easy peasy catch for Nick Hallett. And shout out to Nick Hallett for that interception, Darren. But like I have to ask if maybe there's some receivers on the chat here. Is that something your coach, up with to maybe knock that down? Because he basically gifted an interception to Nick Hallett. I'm just curious if you should bat that down. But you know what? I don't think Jefferson gets enough love. I know he's an all-star and all those things, but he was impacting the game at all times. And then when Josiah St. John went out and Jamal Campbell came in.
Yeah. Glad you mentioned that.
Oh man, you saw Jackson Jeffco just own him. It was like,
yep.
Jackson Jeffco is thinking, okay, look at his chops, right? Like, I love those guys, but Jefferson really with that wingspan, man, and that he was playing the banjo on one of those plays. I thought the Bomber defense gets another game ball because they were being owned in the first half, and they end up, Darren, giving up 1 point in the second half on the road. And I think they did I haven't seen the stats, but I think they did a much better job of stopping Frankie Hickson on first down, which really opened up the playbook for the Riders. And hats off to the defense, walking wounded, that really made plays when they needed to. And we don't know how hurt Adam Bighill is. I suspect he's fairly nicked, but he wasn't going to miss that game. So
I asked Adam Bighill yesterday how he's feeling. He said, great.
Oh, of course he did.
And then I said, okay, can you explain to the people out there? Like, I just wanted him to speak to, for people that don't know what it means to be limited in practice, like why that happens and why he's on the injury report and why he's listed as questionable. The reality in football is nobody on the field is truly 100%. Okay. We used to say that on our TSN radio days, and Westwood would be like, well, I bet you the kicker's probably 100%. But everybody is dealing with something. Everybody has bangs and nicks and bruises and soreness and all types of things, strains and pain and the rest. Adam Bighill has been in this league for a very, very long time, plays at an extremely high level, and plays with a aggressive level of violence that takes a real toll on the body. It's listed as a shoulder issue with him. I think just ensuring that you're taking it easy. They call it maintenance days or vet days, that sort of thing. I think it's, compared to 2019, Bighill was pretty banged up and maybe didn't have his best season. What a huge comeback he had as defensive player of the year in 2021. But that was a hamstring, I believe, or a groin issue in 2019. And that really affected his ability to do what he does best. And that's be rangy and go sideline to sideline, drop into coverage, blitz, be fast, be aggressive.
He does everything, right?
Yeah, he really does. And a shoulder, I think, is maybe a little bit less limiting. But when you want to play physical, you want to dive over the pile on those goal line stands and those sorts of things. It's going to take its toll. So maybe he's not 100%, but I think he played quite well. We do have to remember Jesse Briggs, Shane Gauthier both filling in there. Did you catch the one play, Zach, where Frankie Hickson bowling balled over Shane Gauthier? I was like, was that 44? I couldn't believe it. Frankie Hickson is tiny man. Like, I'm going to look up his height and weight right now. Frankie Hickson is 5'8", 200. first year in the league, probably going to be in that conversation for most outstanding rookie, definitely for the Riders, but maybe even in the West Division. But he absolutely bowled over Shane Gauthier in the second half, I believe it was. I couldn't believe it.
Gauthier is a big guy, and he's got good balance too.
And he's wide and thick and strong. And just finds ways to keep going. The legs keep pumping. He's got so much power in that 5'8" frame. 200 pounds at 5'8". If he was 6 feet, he'd be like 245. He would be a huge, huge human being. But he's an impressive guy to watch. And, the Riders' offense, say what you want about Cody and the offensive line, but Frankie Hickson, yards after contact, off the charts, very talented receiving core. But back to 500, the Riders are, and of course have to face the Blue Bombers 2 more times this season. Obviously, the Banjo Bowl coming up in just, what is it? It's going to be 6 days time. How about
6 days time, baby. I'm just happy. I'm happy nobody got super injured except for Theodric Hansen, and that one looked bad, and that broke my heart, man. Like, you love the guy. He's an activist. He was on the front lines in the Ukraine conflict, and he's a warrior on the field. He's a really important player for us on the D line. He hits freaking hard. I really hope it's nothing too bad, but it didn't look good. I saw someone on the chat say it was an Achilles or something. I sure hope not.
They were poking around there. I was watching binoculars from the press box, poking around at his calf, his Achilles tendon, feeling both of his legs if something seemed out of sorts. But no update on Theodric Hansen or anybody else in the Blue Bombers when it comes to injuries that potentially happened today. Donnie Boy asked this question a little bit earlier. Maybe we'll get to it now while we're on it. What happened to Michael Couture and Brandon Alexander, who were back at practice earlier this week? Yes, they were. Michael Couture even put the pads on after practice one day and kind of went at it with the new linebacker that just arrived and joined the Blue Bombers practice roster. They were smacking. They were, going cadence on the line of scrimmage and making good contact. But Michael Couture coming back from that broken arm, he had the cast on it, like a playing cast. Just along the forearm to protect it in practice. But they're not rushing him back. Like, why rush back your CFLPA All-Star center? Chris Kolinkowski is playing good football. The Bombers have Liam Dobson as the 6th man on that group right now. Who knows? Chris Kolinkowski might have worked his way into a job on that offensive line. Could he bump Gray out of that starting 5? I don't know. I know Jeff Gray is a Winnipegger, and lots of people watching are big fans of the University of Manitoba product. But hey, you never know what could happen. The Blue Bombers are going to try to dress their best roster every single week. Bob Man asks, is Streveler on the Jets? Yes, Chris Streveler is the new Winnipeg Jets defenseman. No, never mind. They haven't made any big free agent signings. He is on the New York Jets practice roster. Yes, he's going to be the 4th stringer as they get the season going here. Just looking at my notes here, Zach, a couple things I wanted to touch on. Jamal Parker making his 2nd straight start, 3rd game.
He was picked on, at the beginning?
Sure was. He sure was. They were going after 45 Jamal Parker a lot in the Labor Day Classic. Some people didn't like the way he's playing. Understand the ball's coming, and his way all the time. The Blue Bombers play a passive pass defense. They try to keep everything in front of them. You remember a couple years ago, even as recently as 2021, the explosion plays? That is the number one, bar nothing else, the number one thing the Blue Bombers do not want to allow. They'll allow teams yards, they'll allow teams first downs, but red zone, they are locked down. Late in games, they are locked down. Maybe it's because they play passive so much throughout the game that when they get aggressive, the offense maybe isn't expecting it. That's just my speculation. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in watching the defensive side of the football by any means. but it's working. And understand that Jamal Parker, being a young player in this league, first year in the Canadian Football League, he's keeping everything in front of him. So he's allowing those guys to make those 8-yard catches. He's allowing those guys to maybe get into space in his zone between Parker, between himself and Nick Taylor. So, I'm not going to criticize Jamal Parker's game. He's doing the best he can. Really tough, the Demario Houston, another player the Blue Bombers lost last week.
Absolutely, man.
He looked, I'll be honest, the body language on Demario Houston at practice this past week back in Winnipeg, not very good. That's a tough pill to swallow. He was essentially becoming that D. Alford of 2022.
He really was. He really was phenomenal, wasn't he? And that's such a tough loss. You wonder if maybe the Bombers, with all the money they've saved on the 6-game players, are they going to make a play for a DB? I mean, Edmonton this may be more for midweek, but Edmonton, you see them having a fire sale, for God's sakes. Do they have a couple?
They just traded him away like he's nothing. That guy's a good player.
Dave Beard, they trade away. I know they've got Cordy, and
could be a salary cap thing, right?
I don't know. Who knows?
Chris Jones is trying to clear salary cap space to make a move.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, he
Chris
Jones. But aside from DC chilling, I don't want Duron Carter in our backfield, but maybe they have a couple of DBs that we could look at, because the Parker's a littler guy and he didn't get beat over the top today, but that's tough. But the defense, I mean, they definitely get a game ball for me. And the final game ball for me, I'm going to put out 3 today because it's Labor Day.
Okay.
We clinched a playoff spot, and I know that's kind of ho-hum for the Bombers now. But folks, you remember the good old days of 2012 and 2013, 2014, 2015.
The good
old days. I say that in jest. Like clinching. Hey, for us young dudes, I know we're like 2 years apart, but listen, clinching a playoff spot for the Bombers when I was growing up was not a small thing. And to clinch it now, that's awesome. Like, it's a cherry on top. And guess who's 6-0 on Labor Day with a bunch of different teams? Mr. Gunslinger, Zach Collaros. Love this guy on both sides of Labor Day. He never loses on Labor Day. Like, that tells you everything you need to know about Zach Collaros. Like a high pressure, big game quarterback. Big game, like big walleye. What's a big game fish? I don't know. I was just in the white shell, but are you kidding me? 6-0 on Labor Day? Like, someone has to look that up. Maybe Steve Daniel, but this is a good question from our buddy Sign Guy. Has anyone clinched earlier in an 18-game season? Maybe the 1948 Calgary Stampeders. I have no idea.
Maybe the 56 Bombers, because they were 10-0, right? And smaller league back then too. So
2019 Hamilton 15-3. They might have. We'd have to look, but either way, it's the West Division. It's not the weak East Division. To clinch this early is insane. But the last thing I want to say before you do your game balls, Darren, is looking forward, and we'll do this on Tuesday. Is don't sleep on Saskatchewan. I know that they have these penalties.
They're 6-6.
I know. I understand that. I know they're 6-6, right? They very nearly beat the Bombers, and I know it's Labor Day, right? But they have an elite receiving core if they're healthy. Some of them are blockheads, but if you put Kean Schaefer-Baker, Shaq Evans,
how about
Duke
Mitch
Williams,
Pickens, huge catch and run. What a cut
Mitch
after the catch.
Braden Lenius, and then Kyran Moore, and then Frankie Hickson.
And wait till Jamal Morrow gets back. Wouldn't you like to have Hickson at tailback and maybe Jamal Morrow at slot? Look out.
But I hear you, waiters. They're average because they're 6-6. I get it, but a lot of that stuff is self-inflicted crap, like the penalties, right? They're kind of a dark horse to me. I think if they can cut down on the penalties, which I don't think they will, but if they can, and a couple of things go their way, I'd be very interested to see how they play Calgary because they haven't played yet. That's going to be big in terms of standings, but they're probably going to have
Bomber
to go on the
fan,
road in the playoffs. But anyway,
sorry to interrupt you, Zach.
that's
Bomber fan
fine. I was going on and on.
watching live on YouTube. What's up, Bomber fan? Like many of you out there, Bomber fans, says, think the Riders need to bite the bullet, cut a few idiots, and try Mason Fine at quarterback. Not a bad thought. I personally disagree, but Mason Fine is clearly somebody that they're high on, and somebody I think they could see here in Regina in the future. But this comment from BA Split, watching live on YouTube. What's up, Split? Their O-line sucks. Yeah, Saskatchewan's offensive line is not
In pass
good.
protection.
Yeah,
but they ran the ball well.
No, I know, but like Frankie Hickson ran the ball well. But at the point of contact, I would love to see Saskatchewan try to run the ball on Calgary. They have a great defensive front in the middle. Not so much they don't have Jefferson and Jeffcoat on the ends. Winnipeg's strength is on the edges. I would love to see them try to run on Mike Rose and some of those guys in the middle of that Stamps defensive line. But Hickson is the one, in my opinion, getting it done. It's not the offensive line pushing guys around. Josiah St. John is their starting right tackle.
Yeah.
Okay. Jamal Campbell, 6 years in the league, but first year with Sask. He's the backup. Who was it? Taron Vaughn practiced all week, had all of the Regina and Saskatchewan media thinking he was going to play. He had features written about him and radio features produced for him, and then there he was on the one-game injured list, 30 hours before kickoff, to the chagrin of many, but probably to the delight of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers defense. They need as much help as they can get. Losing Brendan Labatt to pseudo semi-retirement, a lot of guys. Furland, Bandy, Johnson, St. John, they're Canadians along that offensive line. Good, not great. Collectively, not great at all. So, that's to me, Saskatchewan's Achilles heel. They've got a good kick return game. They have got good receivers. I think Cody Fajardo is I want to be on the mark with this. I don't put Cody Fajardo in the same elite class as Nathan Rourke and Zach Collaros and Jake Mayer and even Jeremiah Masoli. Those four are my elite class of quarterbacks. And you can maybe even put Collaros and Rourke ahead of those two by a small margin. I think Cody Fajardo is a serviceable quarterback. I think Dane Evans, outside of boneheaded giveaways in fourth quarters, is a serviceable quarterback. Trevor Harris, outside of having a very bad game every 3 games. Every 3 games, he has one bad game.
Yeah.
Just not consistent.
Yeah.
Would probably be the best number 2 in the league because he could help you get through a game with a win. Serviceable.
Yeah.
But Cody Fajardo, I think he's on that upper end of serviceable, if healthy, with a fresh knee, all of that sort of thing, and he can use his legs. That's his X factor that I think brings him into being a good quarterback and not just, maybe league average or serviceable. That all said, right now is kind of a dead period. I hope Jake Mayer continues his emergence. I hope Nathan Rourke comes back next year healthy and like a bat out of hell, with the way he started the 2022 season. I hope Zach Collaros has a lot of football left in him and continues to be the magic man on the rollout and extending plays and how good Winnipeg's offense looks when things are broken and busted. It's like, look out, they're going to throw a touchdown. They're going to, strike 30 yards and flip the field. But to me, it's the offensive line in Saskatchewan that will bite them every single time. There are so many good defenses, so many good defensive linemen in the CFL today that I don't think Saskatchewan is going to be able to compete unless they figure things out personnel-wise on the offensive line.
Well, and you could say that if we were maybe a bit healthier in the D, they don't maybe rack up as many yards and, I don't know.
What do you think about the adage that's, like I've heard it here from people in Regina all week, or all weekend is, hey, it's Labor Day. Anything can happen, because it has. 7-1, 1-7.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember it very well. We lost 27-7. We got curb stomped, and then we got curb stomped again in the Banjo Bowl.
And for those that don't know, the Bombers put up a billboard in Saskatchewan that said, it had Winnipeg 7-1, Saskatchewan 1-7. Something's backwards, or something, like making fun of the Riders' 1-7 record to Winnipeg's 7-1 record. And then what happens?
Yeah,
the Riders roll to a victory in the Labor Day Classic. Do you think Winnipeg is going to be able to win again in the Banjo Bowl?
Yeah, I do. Like, I think you've talked about this, the playbook, right? And I kind of didn't agree with you at the beginning because I just never thought of it that way. But teams, that happens to Darren Baumey sometimes. But that's right. You said teams don't open up their playbook at the beginning of the season. I think Saskatchewan opened up their entire playbook and took their best shot. And I think we'll know what's coming next week. Heck, we might even have Couture next week. He is an upgrade on Kolinkowski, as much as Kolinkowski has played really well at center, Darren. If we get Brandon Alexander back, that's absolutely massive.
Don't hold your breath. He has been out a long time. It's not going to be 2 practices, another week off, through the Labor Day Classic, and then he's going to dress in the Banjo Bowl. They want to ensure Brandon Alexander doesn't aggravate something, doesn't find himself in a situation where, we're back at square one, or we're back at square two in his recovery. So be cautious. Would they like better play at safety than they're getting from Nick Hallett than they got from Malcolm Thompson? I think Thompson is an upgrade on Hallett, but no question, Brandon Alexander is going to be an upgrade on anybody, maybe even anybody in the CFL today. I will tell everybody out there watching and listening, if you're curious about Brandon Alexander, I can tell you this. He looks to be in absolutely phenomenal physical condition. He has been putting in the work. So when he is back, I expect him to be an impactful player and bring the heat, if you know what I mean, like he did, especially in the 2021 season.
Yeah, I mean, but what are your game balls, buddy? Trying to escape on me here, just change, like a polished politician, just skipping.
Really?
Change the subject. He's in Regina. He's overheated. He's been in the car a long time.
You know what? I will give a shout out to Jeff Hamilton and Ted Wyman, exemplary drivers. We got upgraded on the rental, so I have a first-class airline seat in the back of the SUV. Nice. So it's very nice. I'm not allowed to drive because of the insurance and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm just kicking back. I'm writing some Jets hockey for NHL.com. I'm listening to some podcasts and reading and having a good time, snacking and relaxing in the back seat on the drive in and out. But it's been fun on that drive. So my game balls. And just to plug it again, we're going to do another road trip pilgrimage podcast, the pilgrimage back east to Winnipeg from the Labor Day Classic. We'll record it tomorrow and I'll post it when I get home tomorrow night. We had a lot of fun. If you want to check that out on YouTube and on your podcast app, just search Bonfire Sports.
People are wondering if you might be a bad driver. Is that the euphemism here? Is that the undertone? Okay. Oh, you weren't on the insurance, Darren. Sorry, Wyman says. And
is that okay?
Are you a good driver, Darren? I suspect you are.
I will humbly say I am a very good driver. I'm a hired gun sometimes. I've been flown across the country to drive people home. Really? I had a family member break his knee, and the spouse wasn't comfortable driving through Canada back home to Winnipeg in, what was it, like October, November. There was a lot of snow, especially on the undivided highway through northwestern Ontario, that sort of thing. So they flew me out to Toronto, and I drove them back to Winnipeg. We went through Detroit and Indiana. We stopped in South Bend, Indiana. I missed the College Football Hall of Fame by 20 minutes. They closed their doors, but got into the steakhouse, watched Notre Dame in South Bend, Indiana play at Boston College in a smoky steakhouse bar, talking to the locals. That was a ton of fun. And then made our way through Illinois, Wisconsin, and the way home. I've driven through a tornado, not through the actual tornado, but through a crazy lightning storm from Kansas City to, we stopped somewhere in North Dakota. It wasn't Grand Forks or Fargo, but it was just like enough is enough, but made it through Nebraska and a little touch of Iowa or whatever it was. Just absolutely crazy wind, going about 50K, and just, I had my grandma in the back seat, like my 89-year-old grandmother in the back seat. The rain is just ripping in, and we had nowhere to go. Like, stopping is almost more dangerous. So we kept going. I'll quit tooting my own horn about the driving, but yes, it was the insurance.
Pun.
That,
I think you've brought up in quick succession many good examples of why you're a good driver, especially Northwest or Northwest Ontario. Yeah,
I love those road trips though. They're so much fun. You know, I used to take road trips out to Edmonton with my buddies when the Jets were gone. We were all Oilers fans, and I know right on that. People always give me like, "You cheered for the Oilers? They knocked the Jets out every single year." Well, when I was a kid, I was just getting into hockey when the Gretzky trade happened. Right? I was like, I was like 7 or whatever. So don't remember those beatdowns of the Jets by the Oilers. So we all cheer for the Oilers. We take road trips out to Calgary and Edmonton and take in those games. I don't know about you, Zach. Hit us up in the live chat out there. Your favorite sports road trip with your friends or your family. I would love to hear
that's
those.
a good one. Well, my mother-in-law is on both of them. To the Grey Cups. Dude, who's your game ball? Stop dancing. Stop tap dancing, Darren Bombing.
The crowd tonight's no, I'm kidding. Okay, I'll get to it. I'll get to it. My first game ball I'm going to give to somebody that doesn't get a lot of love, and I think I might have even given him a game ball on a After Dark episode here in the past, Zach, this season. Drew Wolotarski continues to just get the freaking job done. 4 catches, 4 targets, 56 yards, 4 second down conversions. Every time they went to 82, he pulled it in. He made positive yardage and picked up the first down, moving the chains. Just 9 yak yards. He finds a way to get open on the far side of the field, and obviously very trustworthy hands, smart player, good blocker. A lot of people here tonight in the live chat giving props to Rashid Bailey, like getting the job done. I'm so glad that conversation has happened this year, Zach, that people are recognizing that receivers and running backs do more than catch the football.
Oh, yeah.
95% of the time it is. I'm just getting a text here from Joey Slattery of CTV Winnipeg saying, yes, Drew, these guys need recognition. 95% of the time, you're not getting the ball thrown your way, even if you're the dude. But giving Drew Wolotarski a game ball tonight. I'm giving one to Nick Dembski too. Beautiful pass from Zach Collaros, but just a great job over the head, tracking that ball down against a excellent player in Derek Moncrief. Moncrief can play safety or corner or the dime or even weak side linebacker, maybe even middle in a pinch. I think sending Dembski kind of like in a deep cross field corner route was a real smart thing because it made Derek Moncrief really chase and get him out of what he was normally doing. Dembski likes those, deep ins and crossing routes and that sort of thing. Sending him deep into the wide side of the field really made Moncrief run like he was running against a go pattern if he was playing corner against a wide receiver. So Dembski did a great job pulling that ball in. And of course, Zach Collaros throwing that. That excellent football. Do I have
Well,
one?
and the adjustment he made, right, on that
Yeah,
ball was incredible, and Zach put it there for a reason. That was just
yeah.
an absolute dime.
Willie
Unbelievable.
Jefferson had 1 tackle and 1 sack tonight. That's it.
Yeah,
But he was in the
he
mix
was in
all
the
night
mix
long.
all
He
night,
did an
yeah.
excellent job. I'll give a ball to Willie Jefferson. You know what I saw Willie Jefferson? I saw him at the mall here in Regina yesterday. You know what he was
Oh,
wearing?
yeah?
You know what he was wearing?
A bonfire hat?
No, yeah, no.
Was he wearing El Tony Tone's championship belt? No, he only gets that for the
No,
Grey Cup. What was
no.
he wearing?
Well, let's remember a couple weeks ago when the Bombers played in Edmonton, he wore his double E jersey, his
Oh,
99
right.
Willie Jefferson 2015 Grey Cup
That was a
championship.
little odd. Yeah,
Yeah.
but
And
whatever.
then
Willie
when
Jefferson can pull it off.
well, he can pull off almost anything, and I'll get to it. When the Calgary Stampeders were in town, what did Willie Jefferson wear? Wore his Calgary Flames jersey at IG Field. Just saying, hey, like I'm not going to let the opponent bother me and live. Willie's living his life to the fullest.
So you're saying he was wearing his old Riders jersey?
He was wearing a white Saskatchewan Roughriders jersey with the pink for breast cancer awareness, name bar, and numbers. You couldn't miss the guy.
That's hilarious.
Hanging out, checking out the mall, and that's Willie. I think it's kind of a cool thing that he's guys are kind of opening up to that, right? Like I think Winston Rose was wearing his Cincinnati Bengals number 38 when they hopped off the plane here in Regina. Guys wearing all types of jerseys of their teams gone by, or their favorite teams for different sports, that sort of thing. I think that's really cool. Yeah,
It is. He could do whatever he wants. It's Willie Jefferson. I
right?
think he's just kind of making a statement that he's like he just owns the CFL. He's like, I was just the best on every team. Like I could do what I want.
Yeah. Yeah, no question. I'm with Waiters. I'm with Dan, the Jets fan. Willie is hilarious. He can really do whatever he wants. This is an interesting
Oh
comment
man.
from Andrea. Regina radio fans angry at Duke Williams and his bench misconduct, for getting a little chirpy. At least that's what it appeared to be, that he was just kind of beaking away. I imagine the officials seeing Duke Williams, knowing the history of things going on potentially this year, in street clothes and sunglasses, maybe just getting a little bit loose-jawed at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers near the Riders bench. So out comes the flag, and they give him a penalty. Andrea, I forgive you for meandering away from Bonfire and Game Day After Dark here to take in a little bit of Riders post-game show.
That's awesome. I'm glad. What's that? CJML? Is that what it is? Or CJME?
CME, I think they do the play-by-play. And then shout out my good friends Jamie Nye and Britton Gray from CJME in the Green Zone. Daryl Davis as well. Lots of good friends here in Regina.
They're good people.
That's something I wanted to touch on, Zach. Now, I know you're not out here in Regina, but you've been to Labor Day before.
I have not. I've been to Regina. My mother-in-law was born in Regina.
There was no football game? What were you doing here?
Well, I went there for the 2013 Grey Cup, okay?
Okay.
But I had to go a couple other times for family events because the in-laws are from there. But
okay,
I've never been to Labor Day. Isn't that crazy? How have I never been to Labor Day?
Sorry, I was distracted by our good friend Friesen, aka Garrett Morano. Yeah, he was Friesen. That's been the name for a couple weeks now. CKRM better than Darren Bombing. LOL. Yeah, probably that is true. I am on YouTube. But love how we've got nearly 200 people watching live on YouTube right now. Shout out everybody. Get into the live chat. Do us a favor. This is what you want to do. You want to get into just below. Drop a comment in the live chat if you haven't already. Give a thumbs up. Subscribe. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. We really appreciate that. If you guys listen to podcasts or have a podcast app on your phone, get in there. Subscribe to Bonfire Sports. It's real simple. You just search Bonfire Sports. You'll see the familiar bee that and give us a thumbs up there as well. And maybe more than anything, Zach, I know you've been doing this like absolute gangbusters. Everybody out there, tell your friends if you enjoy watching us here on Bonfire Sports, Bonfire Midweek, Game Day Winnipeg pregame with Chris Walby, the Schnitz, Zach Schnitzer, and Game Day After Dark. If you enjoy any and all of it, let your friends know. And, the more people that are able to listen, the more likely we're going to keep doing these shows for you here on the channel. This is what I wanted to ask you, though, Zach, was Winnipeg and Regina and the rivalry. It's often like Toronto kind of craps on Hamilton. It's just like, oh, the Steel City, and you don't got much going on there, and you got to come to Toronto to like really go shopping and see real other things beyond the Ticats and maybe junior hockey and that sort of thing. Similar with Winnipeg and Regina, right? Like if you want to go to the Apple store, you got to come to Winnipeg. You want to go to IKEA, you got to come to Winnipeg. There's a lot of things.
An NHL game, get Wi-Fi. Yeah, well, you're talking about like people from Regina. Yeah, if you want to see an NHL game, if you want to have triangular pizza.
Here's the thing. Did you see that picture I tweeted?
I saw that. I thought it was square pizza. I thought Western pizza was square. That's what Safamod told me.
Yes, I had Western pizza that was cut into squares. I don't know. Maybe the Roughriders press box gets it sliced differently, but I looked at like 4 or 5 pies.
All right.
You know what they have? You know what Western pizza, like it's Regina style pizza. You know what Western pizza has? They have it's called all dressed, like the chips.
Ooh.
I passed on it. I went for a Hawaiian. I went for a little ham and pineapple.
But that's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. It's good pizza. It's definitely
we do have to go for a bonfire convoy next year, and I will join to Labor Day David Freeze because sign guys saying I gotta go. Yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go to one.
Yeah.
When's the last time we won 3 Labor Days in a row? That would be crazy. But you were gonna say something about the rivalry, Darren.
Well, I'll throw in a little tidbit I learned this weekend because, like, you look at the CFL game notes. I'll get to what I was going to say about Winnipeg and Regina in a second. Here's a little tidbit. You read the game notes, you read stats and things online and all these things that are supposed to be official sources. Was this the 57th Labor Day Classic or the 58th Labor Day Classic? And here's where the discrepancy lies. Saskatchewan does not regard the one Labor Day game between the Bombers and Riders in Winnipeg as the Labor Day Classic.
Really? That's
1952 was played at Osborne Stadium. They do not call that a Labor Day Classic. So it's the 58th Labor Day Classic, but the 57th according to the Roughriders. So that's the way the Riders want to be. That's the way the Riders want to be.
Well, yeah, I was wondering.
12, insert your 4 versus 12 Grey Cup championships joke.
Oh, hell yeah. I always do that. But because I kept hearing that the Riders were 37-19, and then I heard some people say they were 37-20. So I'm guessing the Bombers won that Labor Day Classic in Winnipeg because
probably right. Well, can he play?
Yeah, and definitely Sandy Thompson, you can come. And Denis or Dennis, I've gotten away from my chart. It's not good, man. I got to get back to my chart. I want to know
Andre Fiola, who's watching live on YouTube. What's up, Andre?
Oh,
Marino
let me
Creed,
look this up.
What a clown. Zach, you look into that and let me know what Garrett Marino sent out. Couple pizza comments I'll get to here. Corey May, pineapple bacon over ham. Nice. Have you ever had pepperoni pineapple? Also very good. Yeah, you're right.
Pepperoni pineapple. Yeah,
I know driving and I know pizza. That's what I know. Welcome to my life. Yeah.
Okay, I've got it. Okay. Sorry. Well, I've got the BA Split has it as well. He says, I've had 0 penalties since I came back. Snooze.
So he's insinuating that that's boring. That he's not being penalized.
I don't know, like since he came back from suspension, I guess he's had no penalties. Lefty Carroll, you're a waste of a roster spot.
Well, yeah.
Oh, and then John Hodge weighs in from 3 down. How many fines? And then, of course, he gets an angry Rider fan at him. I mean, he's probably going to get fined for this one. I mean, my God. Can I just say something, though? If I'm Craig Dickinson, and this may sound crazy to folks, you know what I would do tomorrow morning? I would cut Duke Williams and I would cut Garrett Marino. I would just cut them. If your biggest problem is your penalties and your undisciplined locker room and your culture, make a freaking statement, grow some nuts, and cut these guys. Just cut them. Make a statement. Like, that kind of shenanigan BS would never be allowed in the Bomber locker room or the Stampeder locker room. I know that sounds crazy, Darren, but you have to send a message, a big message. And guys then say, hey, if Duke Williams is getting cut, I could get cut any second. It's a freaking joke. Like, we haven't got to our burning point, buddy, but that could be a burning point, that a guy who is not even dressed on the sideline, you know, possibly costs you the game. That is an absolute joke. And then what are they? Craig Dickinson is going to give him a stern talking to, and Marino, like, you hit him late again. Like, are you?
Gregory's right. He's trolling. Garrett Marino I think he's a bit of an attention whore.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry for the blunt language, but that's really my take on him. He wants people talking about him. He wants people hollering his name. He wants the attention. That all said, people have asked to interview Garrett Marino, and I don't know if you've seen his comments in the one time he spoke about Jeremiah Masoli and, you know, saying, no, you know, I didn't get in touch with him or whatever it was, saying he did get in touch with him, and then Masoli said, I didn't get in touch with him. Anyway, a lot of people have just been deterred from talking to Garrett Marino because he's not a very good talker. And I'm probably saying that very, very kindly. He's not a very good talker. So even a guy who everybody in the CFL knows, everybody in the CFL has an opinion on and you know, talks about, he seems to be a guy that just, you know, people, the media doesn't even want to interview him because I don't think you'd get too much.
Well, and the best.
So what does that say about him? Like, read between the lines is all I'm saying.
Right. Well, and the best way to deal with people like that is you just don't give them any attention. And so maybe we won't. Yes, he is also racist. Yeah. So I don't know, Darren. I mean, I think that would make a statement because you're a team that's 6-6. If you're going to make any noise, you got to cut down on the penalties and you have to have better culture. And if you have cancers in the locker room like that, and I shouldn't use the C word there, but like, give me a freaking break. It's a joke. Now that's not necessarily the burning point, but it's burning my craw. The burning point is interesting to me, Darren. I don't know if I can say this, but if we're at the burning point, folks, I don't know. What is your burning point? But Fajardo, they're in field goal range in a very close game, and they've been owning time of possession, and they've been marching on the Bombers. Do you throw a pass there? Like that I know it's hindsight and they got a pick. Do you throw because I've seen a lot of people in the chat and on Twitter saying, why are you throwing the ball? Even Glenn Suter said, why are you throwing the ball? You run the ball a couple times and you have a pretty makeable field goal there. So it's an interesting one to be.
Thanks, Jay Cuppers. Appreciate you tuning in. I mean, when football is like the ultimate, weirdness sometimes. When it works, you're genius. And when you do something unorthodox and it doesn't work, what were you doing? What were you thinking? But, like I was kind of touching on in the first hour of the show, and shout out to everybody who's been hanging out with us here on Game Day After Dark. Appreciate you a lot. you have to take calculated risks. You have to try things you think could work. I think many fans, it even took me a while to evolve into this, Zach, and that is fans need to look beyond play calling and strategy in football. You're not playing a video game. You're not trying to win that snap, right? You're watching all game of what the other team's doing, tendencies, personnel, what's worked for them, what hasn't. Okay, we bring in this zone defense and they bring out this empty backfield package, and it worked in this way and it worked in that way. They ran, draw play, counter, misdirection, whatever. So often, like Mike O'Shea says, you got to kind of make the feel of the game. I think good coaches, good coordinators, like really, really good ones, the ones that we talk about for years, the ones that make a difference in their careers, those individuals, in my opinion, have good intuition, have good guts. And by guts, I mean I got a gut feeling this is going to work. It doesn't always work. You're going to make mistakes, but when you feel something could work and it's unorthodox and it works, you're like, oh my gosh, what a great play call. And if it doesn't work, it's what was going on. So you're always going to have those tendency breakers. Like if a team runs, 2nd and 3, they run the ball every time. They did it week 1, week 2, week 4, week 7, week 9.
I get what you're saying. I do, but I would have to disagree though. Like, and I don't know nearly as much football as Jason Moss, of course. Like, the guy's forgotten more football than I'll ever know. However, I'm looking at the play-by-play here. It's 1st and 10 with 2 minutes left on the Winnipeg 26. And you have Frankie Hickson, who is running the hell out of the ball.
Yeah.
And you're almost in the red zone.
You remember Pete Carroll in the Super Bowl when he's got?
Of course, I was thinking of the Tyler Lockett and Malcolm Butler interception, right? And apparently that was a very high percentage play. It just happened to be that the Patriots are so organized and disciplined and prepared, right? They practiced against that in the preseason, but they were running it well on us. And hindsight is, and you're right, Darren. Maybe 99% of the time that play works. It just, I imagine people in Regina are wondering about that. That's the burning point for me. I think it's fairly obvious. Maybe you have a different one.
So I did my best to chart the game as I always do, kind of charting out the drives and what happens here and there. The second half was so low scoring and low event for the most part. Until those last couple plays, you could say the Nick Hallett interception was the burning point, and then the things turned their way. I just have to give it to the decision to take the single and go down by 1 and get the ball to 40. It was ballsy. Yeah. It was, oh no, oh boy, for many Bomber fans, I'm sure. And it worked. Yeah. Because, we talked about it off the top of the show. Like they got just enough to get Marc Liegghio into probably the outer parameters of his maximum range, and 55 yards was the game winner. You could probably say the burning point was Winnipeg's defense. They made some sort of halftime adjustment or mid-game adjustment, and they didn't allow, what did they allow? Points in the second half were
1.
Yeah, 1.
Off a single. And that went way over his head.
It did.
He didn't misjudge the ball. It went way, it was Vedvik can pound the ball. My God.
He did. That was a 78-yard punt single.
Yeah, that's massive. I don't think you bring that out.
That's my burning point. Hit up the live chat. What was your bonfire burning point? The moment that sparked things going the way they did, and the Blue Bombers coming away with victory number 11 this season. Can you believe that, Zach? We're kids are headed back to school. There's a day left in summer vacation for many.
Yeah.
And the Bombers have 11 wins. It's crazy. It's crazy. I'll just
Well,
say
you
it.
remember you remember the
Absolutely
Grey Cup year in 2019, Darren. I think they were 11-7. Were
Yep.
they not?
But
They
they
ended
were
up
just like, think
11-7.
about that. They started that season with Chris Streveler as their starting quarterback. Nichols comes back, gets healthy enough to get them to a 7-1. What was it? A 7-1, right?
7-2.
7-2,
7-2.
right?
Yeah.
One of
Yeah.
those was a Streveler. No, Streveler went 1-2 as the starter, right? And then Nichols ripped off some wins, and then he got hurt, and Streveler tried to row the boat the best he could, and playoffs, got it done on the road. The rest is history. That was
Yeah.
kind of like Winnipeg turning the page and being the team we know and appreciate today. But
There's
11 wins by September?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Crazy.
It's a crazy. There's some other good burning
They didn't have a
points here.
bye. They didn't have a bye for 10 weeks.
I
It
know.
really is astonishing.
The burning point, there's a couple other good burning points. I like the one that the Dembski, the Leggio side slipping the potential blocked punt, right? That was huge, Scott Roger. Dembski's touchdown, Schoen's touchdown. I believe someone said the Riders when Hicks, it was 2nd and 2 and Hickson fell down and they had to settle for a field goal. Do you remember that play? Like Hickson he slipped on the turf. I think it was in the first half. He had an easy path to a first down. I think they were marching on us. That was an interesting one. Anyway, I think there's lots of burning points. But what was what's this based on most play calling?
Well,
Go ahead.
mean, that's why they throw. Yeah, I mean, can we talk a little bit more about this Marc Liegghio weave? Holy cow! Like he looked dead to rights, and he just does this quick little sidestep. Like it's moments like that make you okay. Maybe that's what the Bombers see in this kid. Like he's got a little bit more. He's not just a kicker. He's punting the ball exceptionally well.
He punted great today.
I watch Marc Liegghio and Ali Murtada in practice. Those guys go toe-to-toe, pardon the obvious pun, but they go head-to-head, toe-to-toe, pounding the football, like punting it as far as they can, punting it as high as they can to get as much, hang time for the cover teams, kicking sidewinders, kicking ones that they can, maybe it's a low, line drive kick, but getting a bounce, like making sure that it's the type of rotation where it's going to bounce and roll forward, corner kicks across the field. You notice Saskatchewan had 2 punt returners back all day? Because Marc Liegghio is a very good directional punter. Saskatchewan has 1 less guy rushing because they have 1 more returner back to ensure Marc Liegghio just doesn't pound it to the other side of the field and pin them deep. So,
good point.
You got to give Marc Liegghio credit. He didn't just hit a 55-yarder to redeem himself from a tough game against Montreal a couple weeks ago. He has been playing very good football. It's just reassuring, I'm sure, for many, even myself, reassuring belief in a young man that he can get the job done. Taking a 55-yarder on the road, sold out green ocean crowd, sea of green. That was impressive. That was really, really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a diehard fan, you'll always remember winning back-to-back Labor Days, one off the 55-yarder. I mean, that's crazy. Yeah, I think Fritchie, he might have touched him, or he was just like that Cody was feeling. I don't know, maybe just a little bit of a Willie Jefferson's haggard breath on the back of his neck, like who knows, but I imagine that it it affected him. But
Marc Liegghio, good old friend from the college days and U of M Sports, tuning in from Lac de Bonnet. What a game. Yes, Marc, it sure was. Yes, so I wanted to get back. Okay, I totally got sidetracked. I wanted to talk about the sibling rivalry between, like, and people want to make their kissing cousins jokes and all of that. Fine.
Lack of
Saskatchewan and
teeth.
banjo
Yeah.
picking inbreds and whatever. But the sibling rivalry between the Bombers and the Riders, Saskatchewan versus Manitoba, Winnipeg versus Regina, whatever. The reality is, you go to Alberta, and I know there's a lot of Manitobans in Alberta. There's a lot of Manitobans in BC and Ontario, really across the country, right? But people in Saskatchewan, for the most part, are very similar to us born and raised in Winnipeg and in southern Manitoba. Our economies are similar. Our culture is similar. Yeah, one crew cheers for the green and white. Another crew cheers for the blue and gold. One crew cheers for the Jets. Another crew cheers for maybe Edmonton or Calgary or Vancouver or Vegas. I know Vegas is a popular team amongst hockey fans here in Saskatchewan. But the reality is a big reason why this rivalry and this special game that is the Labor Day Classic and the Banjo Bowl back-to-back is because we are effectively the same people. Like, I have so many friends here in Saskatchewan. They remind me of my friends back home. They're just down home, good-hearted, hardworking prairie people. And, I wouldn't leave Winnipeg for greener pastures any day. There's a lot of people here in Regina that say the same thing about their home province of Saskatchewan. Just good people. And I think that adds to the rivalry, because the blue and gold maniacs and the green and white maniacs, they're going at each other, at the pub on Saturday night before the game, or at the game, or tomorrow driving home, you're stopping in Virden. Maybe there's some Rider fans. Well, based on the Virden gas stations and how much Rider stuff is in there, there's Rider fans in Western Manitoba. We all know that.
I know they've overtaken Westman, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's crap.
But
I think you're right. And psychologically, like, we always despise the people most that remind us of the things we don't like about ourselves, right? And so, it's you can get into some deep psychodynamic Freudian projection here.
Well,
but
don't take us there, Zach. We all know.
Well, I'll take you there for a second, just to hammer home your point.
Yeah, I know
that, like, if we think we have an inferiority complex, well, at least we're better than Saskatchewan. Okay.
I don't understand the Winnipeg inferiority complex. I really don't. If you know where you're from and you love your city and your province, why do you give a crap what somebody from Toronto thinks, or somebody from Montreal thinks, or somebody from BC? Like, what do you care? I love Winnipeg. Yes, the winters suck.
Just for like 3 or 4 weeks. Just for 3 or 4 weeks.
3 or 4 weeks. Come on, 3 or 4 months. It's tough. It's tough.
Hey, dude, I was on paternity leave with a toddler during the COVID January, February. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It was hard.
Honey, I'm going for a walk. What? It's minus 29 with the wind chill. It's minus 40.
We need to do something.
But you know what?
I know what you mean. That we shouldn't have it, but it's a great rivalry because we're so similar. I think that's a good point. I don't know many people in Saskatchewan. That's not on purpose, but I'll trust you on that one.
Do you know what I like to do when I got media friends or family or visitors or whatever from out of town coming to Winnipeg, and they're just like, they make that drive from the airport to downtown, and they're just like, "Oh, this is Winnipeg," and then I take them to St. Boniface. Oh wow, this is beautiful. And then I take them to St. Vital and some of the parks and around the river, and I take them to St. James, take them to Assiniboine Park, the largest urban park in the country. We have so much to offer here. It's not just, we got the forks in the museum. Yeah, we do. That's great. There's lots of cool stuff there. The Exchange District is cool, but a lot of stuff is cool, like throughout the city, just outside of the city, the farmer's market in St. Norbert, even like some of the, like Nick's Inn and Headingley, like just a good spot of, rural Canadiana that is all parts of the city, like some of the great Ukrainian restaurants in the North End, some of the Eastern Mediterranean and Middle Eastern food that's available on North Main or on South Pembina or North Pembina. Some of those spots, the Ethiopian restaurants that are in the west end of the city. Like, people love slagging on Winnipeg, and we have so much more to brag about than a good football team. But
it's affordable here. I mean, man, that makes a big difference to someone like me with 2 kids. You could have a decent sized house with a yard. You try and get that in Toronto, and you're house poor for the rest of your life, or Vancouver, and the traffic you have to deal. I've lived in Toronto a couple times. But I got to ask people in the chat.
Appreciate you staying in Winnipeg, Corey. Thanks, man.
Yes, thanks, Corey. Corey apparently called me Vanilla Ice earlier because I had my hat. I think it was Corey or someone else. I kind of like the look, Darren. What do you think? Just a little bit sideways.
Well, I'm just happy you don't have your screen mirrored, because your shirt almost looks like that bad 4-letter word. But right. Back off. Back you. No, back off.
Back the back off.
Did you notice Walby on the pregame show? He had his camera mirrored. He was using his phone from his dog.
I know. Yeah.
And it looked like a D. And people are sending me notes. They're like, it looks like DB on the screen. Which
you've taught me well not to mirror that stuff. Listen, I would ask you and people on the chat though, Darren. I know we've got through our big points here, but what was it like being at the Labor Day Classic? What was the any fun experiences for people? Did anyone hear Golden Boy's traditional yearly stump speech? Like, what was it like to be there? What was the crowd like? I've never even been to Mosaic. That's what I'm wondering about at this point.
People might be surprised by this. There wasn't a ton of energy in the city. There really wasn't. Like, there were Bomber fans at some of the spots, and like, there's tons of energy there, and people are having a heck of a good time. Went to one of my favorite breakfast places here in Regina with Jeff Hamilton and Ted Wyman, and kick back, like a couple Bomber players strolling through. Nobody knows who they are. They're just in civilian clothes, some of the Canadian players and the rest, and people don't even realize it. And lots of Bomber fans, lots of Rider fans, all that. But I'll be honest, like, Winnipeg suffers in the energy area before and after games because of where the stadium is, right? There's just not a lot in South Pembina, right? It's a lot of strip malls. It's a lot of chain restaurants. There's a couple spots here and there, but, not a ton. Definitely not a lot close to the stadium, like walkable distance. In Regina, everything's pretty walkable. I was like a kilometer from the stadium. I walked there. It was plus 30. I was pretty soaked after that. But you can kind of get around.
Happy honker to you, buddy.
That all said, Zach, sorry, you make me lose my train of thought with the happy honker. I was like, what are you talking about?
I know. But you've given me a happy honker, so I feel like you should get one.
Well, I got to earn that. You got to earn the happhappy honker, and I have not earned it. But downtown Regina just wasn't really popping like it has in years past. Is that like a COVID hangover? Is that because the Riders were meddling and the Bombers are so good? Like, I made a joke in the press box because I'm listening to these radio and print reporters will be like, oh, here we go. It's going to be the Bombers. That's one of 20 sacks allowed today. And I, lean over, my spot in the press box on the bench down to them. I'm like, I think you Regina guys like the Bombers more than we do in Winnipeg, and then that, of course, we're all, doing our best to cover the team objectively and the league and the rest. But, the team you cover better than any other. So when a good team comes, like I remember 5-6 years ago, the Stamps would come to town, and it was just like, oh boy, this is a good football team. Like, how's Winnipeg gonna? That's how Sask feels right now. They've had their ups and downs this year, and probably more downs than ups. And they were expecting Winnipeg to really put the boots down today. I thought the Riders could win this game. I didn't pick them to win. I picked the Bombers to win by 5. Didn't happen. They won by 2, but that's the thing with Labor Day. It absolutely comes down. It's absolutely going to be something weird and come down to a field goal or a blowout, for the underdog and that sort of thing.
Well, and I got to give a shout out to SIA.com, buddy, slash Bonfire, because if you haven't checked it out, it helps us at Bonfire Sports, but it's a great place to bet. And it's not like I'm a degenerate gambler. I put in my $20 and I've stuck with it. And if I run out, I run out.
You started with 20 and that's all you put in.
Started with 20 and that's all I put in. Now my American cousin, he's been sprinkling in a lot. He's like, it's Canadian dollars. I mean, this is free money. But there was
great.
Yeah, exactly. There was a great prop bet today for Winnipeg to win by 6, which was paying 4.5. You could only put in a max of $36, but you could make, you think about 36 times 4.5. You could make some serious coin there. And I think that was a reasonable expectation. The Bombers are the better team, but it's the Labor Day Classic. They're not going to win. I didn't like the 3.5. I wasn't as confident as you. But if you hit that bet, you got a decent amount of coin. So I'll just say this: I'm up a lot here. And my next bet,
you can bet $1.
Yeah,
you can bet $1. Like, you know what? I think Winnipeg's going to win the Grey Cup. I'm confident they're going to win the. You can put $1 on it. You can just have fun with it, right? So, if you're interested in doing that, it's super easy. SIA.com/bonfire. You know what they're doing actually for the start of the NHL season? They're bumping that 100% bonus. Like right now, if you put in between $20 and $500, they double it in bet credits, right? So you'll have to make the bets in order for that to be real money. But they're boosting it from 500 max to 1,000. So they'll double. Nice. If you're that type of player, you want to put $1,000 down, they're going to double it in bet credits on your SIA account. So use this exclusive link, SIA.com/bonfire. If you're curious about how it all works, hit the hotline, 816-TIPS, 816-8477. I can answer the basic questions about, signing up and doing what you need to do there. But very cool website, Sports Interaction, a Canadian casino. So all those funds stay here in the country. I mean, virtually in the country. Of course, these casinos all use banking in far off lands, but you're not it's not MGM or it's not some casino in Vegas or in London, England or whatever. It's based right here in Canada. So check out our link, SIA.com/bonfire.
And I see a couple people, like-minded people, going heavy on the Argos tomorrow. Sorry, Darren. I think we've all lost our faith in Dane Evans. I know it's in Hamilton, but it's a pick-em game, and I bet the house on it. The house has gotten bigger since I got my 4.5.
Not your actual house. You have kids to house.
Yeah, not my actual house, but my play money house. I am that confident that Toronto is going to win that game. I just think Dane Evans is. I think he's gotten. No, Evans is starting, Bomber fan, but Jamie Newman I think is the backup. But I just think Evans has got the yips. I think the franchise thing got to him, and I think he just is falling under pressure. Sorry to tell you.
Friesen stating that I still think the Ticats are the superior team to Toronto. I do think they're the better team. They're losing. They've lost those games.
Is Newman starting? Sorry, Darren. This is what Waiters is saying.
He was practicing this week. I haven't followed up the last couple days. I'm gonna have to send a
Evans
text.
Third on the depth chart with his shoulder. Oh my God! So they announced Newman. I'm glad I should bet more. Newman is starting.
Newman.
The third stringer is starting, and last I checked, it was a pick-em game. If you don't go in on that,
here's our buddy Robert Dalton.
Yes, hey Robert Dalton, Rouge Radio, great podcast.
He's got the pairs up as well, so he's sharing it to his followers on Facebook as well. Shout out, Robert. Appreciate you a lot, man, and always enjoy the stuff you share on social and the rest on the CFL. It's always good stuff. But yeah, so Newman is a running quarterback. Like, how is he going to pass the football? I think Hamilton is still. I'm gonna have to check the line. Maybe the line is moved.
It's still what? It's still a pick-em. They're still
it
favored
would,
by 1.
Hamilton's favored by 1. Well, that's not a
Yeah.
pick. That's not a pick 'em. They're favored by 1. I think it was 1.5 I last saw.
Isn't that a pick-em?
Well, no, a pick 'em is 0.
Well, yeah, but essentially it's a pick-em because you can only win by 1. Or you can only win by 1 or more. Isn't that right?
More. Well, no, a pick 'em would be 0.5, right? Or 0.
Okay.
Or 0.
But you're betting that Toronto, you're betting like, but you're basically
Hamilton
betting
by
that
1.
Toronto's going to win.
Yeah, it's Hamilton by 1. This is interesting. The line opened at 1. It then went to 1.5. Then the next day it went back to 1. And then the following day it went to 1.5. And then yesterday and today back down at 1. So interesting to watch that line. You have to wonder if the action, i.e. for those not familiar, the action being people putting bets in or money on one of those teams and it's shifting the line back that these sports books often do. So very interesting to see that. But either way, with the Ticats favored by 1, you can pick Toronto and they pay 1.87. So $10 wins you $8.70 plus your $10 back, of course. But you can check that out. The thing I love about SIA, Zach, and I know you do too, is the prop bets. Walk us through some of your prop bets. I know you hit on one today.
Well, apparently I was giving everyone the people's eyebrow. So thank you, Jeff Capillas. That's one of the best compliments I've ever got. I do have the ability to. Can you do the one eyebrow raise there? Yeah, you could do both. Is his better than, because he can do both, but he can do both, but they're not quite as dramatic as, like, neither is as extreme as my one. I don't know. This is fascinating stuff. This is just Stevie After Dark radio here, or a show actually.
Zach, you picked the Bombers to win by either between 1 and 6 points, right?
My cousin did. My American cousin who thinks that we have monopoly money. Richard. We call him Dick.
Cousin Dick.
We call him Dick. And my son American now calls him Papa Deke. Papa Deke. Anyway, Papa Deke made some money. He went on both sides, right? So he bet 100 on the Bombers winning by 3.5, and then he bet the 36 on, because that was the max bet, on the Bombers winning by between 1 and 6, and he won that. So he essentially comes out ahead, because I think he paid out like $162 on 36 bucks. So
I think one of the lines on the game today was Frankie Hickson 38.5 rushing yards.
Are you serious?
You could like smash that over. I think he had that in the first half. For example, there were when Montreal was in town, a lot of people put money on the Bombers to win, like on the money line, right? And if you lose by 3 on SIA.com/bonfire,
and I did,
you get your money back, because your money line pick is just whoever wins the game. If your team you pick loses by 3 exactly, it's a wash. You get your money back. A lot of people lost on that game with picking the Bombers to cover 9 points because they thought they were going to beat up on Montreal. Where I saw value was Trevor Harris was 25.5 pass attempts. And I thought, okay, they got Jeshurun Antwi, they've got Trevor Harris and some very good receivers. They could very well be trailing in this game. The over looked really, really good on that. And, say you plunk down a fair chunk of change there, you do quite well on some of those prop bets. Same with the Bombers to win the Grey Cup. Or think about it. Nathan Rourke goes down to injury. You could put a little on the Bombers to win the Grey Cup, put a little on the Stampeders to win the Grey Cup, kind of hedge your bet a little bit. You'll probably come out on top. Some of the small little things you can do. Check them out.
Fun. Those props are fun. No, I'm
Yeah.
having a lot of fun.
SIA.com/bonfire. Get there. Sorry, Zach.
And you know what? For people who think, oh, betting, it can be addictive. It can be, but it's one of those things like betting and fantasy that have frankly turned people into CFL fans if they weren't, because it catches your attention, right? Like if you don't care about the CFL and then you're like, oh, can I make some money on here, or can I beat my friends in fantasy here and get the prize, whatever that everybody pays for my fancy steak dinner, like those are the things that attract people sometimes to your game, and
Yep.
it's fun, but it can be addictive. And of course, I will do the public address announcement,
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like,
do it responsibly, do it safe. No, like set a limit. Just say this is what's in. That's what I'm leaving it at, and budget appropriately. You don't have to go overboard. It's more fun to just win, not win a bunch or lose a bunch. So be sure you do it responsibly and keep it here in Canada. SIA.com/bonfire. Zach, I want to talk about the other Zach. I want to talk about Zach Collaros. His numbers don't knock your socks off. He was 63% tonight. Through the first half, I think he was well over 80%. Threw for 214 yards. Do you remember when Matt Nichols would go 15 to 24 for 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, Bombers would win, and they'd be like, oh, imagine if we had a quarterback. Imagine if we had a quarterback that could throw for 300 and 4 touchdowns and like be explosive. You don't need to be. You don't need to be every single week. What did Zach Collaros do today? Perfect pass to Nick Dembski for a 50-plus yard touchdown. Perfect pass on a broken play, extending the play, rolling out, off schedule, off balance, throwing on the run. And perfect pass to Dalton Schoen for his rookie leading 9th touchdown of the season.
I think he's tied for the lead overall, Darren, with 9, with guys like Rhymes. Yeah, I saw that on TSN.
Rhymes has a whack load, though.
I think they're tied, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to look that up right now. But Zach Collaros is just so impressive to watch. Yeah, he had the fumble today, but that was a strip sack by Pete Robertson. It's
the other team's good too, right?
You got a guy who's 6'5" or whatever, wrapping his arms around you. It's hard to hang on to that football when you're trying to escape. But Collaros just keeps getting it done and keeps operating that offense so effectively. The big passing numbers don't matter if you watch the game and you watch Collaros find Wolodarski for 4 second down conversions. Finding Nick Dembski for critical yards and big first down pickups. Ensuring that his arm is enough of a threat so you can find stuff underneath between the layers of D-line, linebacker, safety, and the DBs in zone coverage and the rest. Everybody knows how good Zach Collaros is, but even in games where he throws 63% for 214 yards, he's clean in the pocket, no turnovers, 2 touchdowns, beautiful throws, and he comes away with another victory. Whatever his record is now in meaningful starts as the Bombers quarterback, 28-2 or whatever it is. Collaros is a huge reason why Winnipeg is 11-1 this season, and man, oh man, I don't know if Bomber Nation would trade him for any other quarterback, even Nathan Murk.
No, you wouldn't be. He's a winner, right? He's a winner and he's a leader. That's the other thing, is he's a leader. And I've talked about this before. Yeah. He came into a loaded locker room with a great culture in 2019 and he fit right in. And O'Shea said, there's no one else. What's this?
Oh, Matt Carr says it's super fun to bet on the track game so you can scream at third-string QBs that didn't know about the day before. Absolutely. It makes games interesting, right?
Sign guy is threatening to, he's blackmailing us to give him more attention or he's just going to jump ship.
Sign guy?
Yeah, come on, Sign guy. We promote your articles. We partied with you at the Grey Cup.
I'm not noticing this. Highlight me, or I'm going to see
He's mad though.
Great
He's
show.
mad that I haven't bought my Grey Cup ticket, and he's been trolling me for a while on that. I love my side
Got a
guy.
shout out, Tony
Yeah,
Carvalho,
Tony.
live on Facebook,
Love it.
live from Regina. He's paired up his social media channels, so sharing Bonfire Sports to the rest of his audience and friends on social media. Everybody's going to be watching Sign Guy. There he goes, joking. Love you all, he says. Everybody's going to be watching him in the stands. I noticed that, waiters. Sign Guy, Don, you were teasing a Sarah Orlesky sign this week. Hope it's
the Sarah Network.
To
the Sarah Network. It works perfectly. No, just about Zach Collaros. He's a winner, man. What can you say? He could put up the same numbers as Nichols, but he does it in a different way, and he has the ability to finish games, which I don't think Nichols did. What's this? Yeah.
Dom Rhymes really 9, Dalton Schoen 9, and then Henry 6, Lawler 5 with the rest.
It's nuts, man.
No kidding, hey?
Yeah, and if Ellingson doesn't get hurt, I don't know that he has that number of touchdowns, because I think Ellingson probably vultures a few of those. But yeah, he's a winner. And look, the difference between him and Cody Fajardo tonight, Cody Fajardo had 70 more yards of passing. Mind you, that, like I said, that pass to Dembski that Milligan, who wasn't even really covering Dembski, came over and tipped away at the last second. I mean, he gets that. He has over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. But the guy is a winner. He's a gunslinger. He's like Brett Favre, right? I think he's the CFL version of Brett Favre, but he's won 3 championships actually.
Mm-hmm.
But he's such a good leader, and he's not as much of a drama king as Brett Favre, but he's humble. They were even talking in the pregame about how nice he was to Fajardo when Fajardo took his spot because he got hurt. Like, he's just a good dude. It takes a special person to fit into the FIFO locker room, Darren. And it's just fun to watch because you always have a chance with Zach Collaros, right?
Yeah, some great comments about Collaros in the live chat. And I agree with Scott Roger, who I finally got to meet at the Rifles game.
Nice.
Huge upset win over the Saskatoon Hilltops last week in Winnipeg, 1960. Look out for the Rifles. Check them out for their full schedule, riflesfootball.com, and head out to a game. They put on a heck of a show. Calgary in town, September 11th, 11 a.m. at Eastside Eagles Field. But
11 a.m.
happens, says Scott Roger, finds ways and doesn't let mistakes get to him. That has stood out so much to me this year. I even asked Collaros about it, and he kind of, sloughed it off a little bit. Like, hey, you just got to,
he's modest.
Yeah. But I mean, that is not an easy thing to do. He throws in tight windows, throws a pick. Maybe it's maybe it's a bad pick. And then the next play, tight window, like going after it does not change the way he plays no matter what. Snap and clear is the way Collaros often puts it. Flush it is, another way a lot of Bombers players have talked about in the past. One thing to say it. It's one thing to do it from week to week or game to game after a tough loss or whatever, but from play to play, especially like if you throw a pick and then the other team scores and then you're back out on the field, often the body language is like, oh man, we blew it. But it's not. It's let's go score. Let's go freaking score.
He's so competitive, eh? Like, he's got that drive to win. He's a really mild-mannered guy, kind of a funny guy even in interviews that I've seen. But when he gets on the field, like, he wants to win and win badly. Like, you see it. And I saw it playing angry a little bit in the BC game. He gets up for those Calgary games, right? His record against Calgary and the elite teams is off the charts. He has the it factor, man. I don't know if you can say it any other way, that he has the it factor, and he also owns Cody Fajardo. I don't think he's ever lost to Cody Fajardo. Has he? I don't think so. I think he's beaten him like a rented mule every time, buddy. Not like a rented mule, maybe a real mule, maybe an owned mule.
Well, you got to bring, if it's rented, you got to bring it back. If it's owned, well, you don't want.
They're never going to rent it to you again if you beat it too badly.
That's just the way it is. But I digress. Oh, it's another one. Jeez.
Days shot for Darren, but no, he's got the it factor. But
Here's
yeah,
I
someone
really,
asking here the crowd. How was the crowd? Was it loud?
lots of energy. No, absolutely. And yeah, there's peppered seats that are empty, but understand, like, it's Mosaic isn't like IGF in the way that it's like a wide open concourse, but there are concourse areas where you can see the field. It's just not the entire ring. All right, this way. It's not the entire ring like IG is. But people congregate, people wander, people go to the bathroom, people grab donuts or a hot dog or whatever. They just definitely don't use it as a straw in their beer. But yeah, energy was really good there tonight. I don't know if people caught my video. I posted to Twitter real quick. Went into the stands about 5-10 minutes before kickoff, and yeah, had some Rider fans chirping. They're slapping their butts and waving their flags and their cape flags and doing all this stuff, but all in good fun. That's why I showed up in a black shirt. I didn't want to draw too much attention to myself one way or the other, but yeah, it's always fun. Like Mosaic, I've heard horror stories of the way fans would treat one another at Taylor Field back in the day. I haven't heard anything as of late. I just don't think pro sports organizations put up with the crap that maybe people tried to get away with back then. How loud was it there compared to IGF? So hard to do, because the press box is fully enclosed at Mosaic. In Winnipeg, on those beautiful summer nights, like the last couple home games with 30,000 plus against Montreal, against Calgary, we have the windows open in Winnipeg, so you can tell how loud it is. I'll say this speculatively but comfortably. I think the roof at IG Field helps hold in more noise than the more of a shelter style
toilet
seat. Yes.
I mean, do you have to get up to go to the bathroom? The whole thing is a toilet seat.
That's right. But that said, it is a beautiful stadium. It really is a beautiful stadium. It's 1A, 1B. I think Winnipeg Stadium is set up better, but I think Mosaic Stadium is more polished. So take that what you will. I've been underneath both of these stadiums. Like, the facilities in Winnipeg and Sask, like, they're beautiful. Like the Regina Rams, the University of Regina, the Manitoba Bisons football program, the Winnipeg Rifles football program, very fortunate to have fantastic facilities like they have in the Prairie provinces. And it kind of goes back to what we were saying about, sibling rivalry between Winnipeg and Regina, the Bombers and the Stamps.
And we love the CFL, and these people love their CFL, right? And that's just great. It's awesome. So.
So that was a bit of a comparison between the two. Randall asking as well, but as far as the noise, it probably gets as loud. I know Winnipeg is the CFL's loudest fans, and I believe they are, but it gets really loud at Mosaic. It really does. What I find interesting, though, I hope I'm not giving a competitive advantage to other teams here, but you still got to bring the crowd. The crowd noise is a factor to an offense. But what I noticed is the Rider fans got loud when Winnipeg was on offense, but they kind of let Kolaris get to the line of scrimmage and quickly say, okay, clap his hands a couple times, snaps the, like, often he does all of his communicating and then the crowd roars.
Well, that's dumb. And win it, as a fan, Darren, as soon as I see that play clock start, the 20-second clock, I'm screaming. Or even before, as soon as I see them huddle. That's when you got to scream.
Yes.
You don't scream when they get to the line of scrimmage. They've already decided what they're going to do.
Yeah, especially in the second half, Winnipeg was really getting to the line of scrimmage quickly. I heard people in the press box being like, "Look how quickly they're running up to the line." Like Sask does not do that. The Riders do not do that. They take their time getting to the line of
Well, they're a
scrimmage.
bit
Again,
slower than us, right?
thanks for joining us. As always, you
Thanks,
two have
Mike.
a good one. Always great to have Towzen and everybody. All of
Yeah.
our favorites, BA, Corey, Waiters, Andrea, Phyllis was in here earlier, Lynette, Bomber fan, Rob Mahoney, Sign Guy, Jeffrey, like everybody. Awesome.
Jeff Kabilas.
Yes, Jeff Kabilas.
I got to meet this guy.
I
Sparks
saw,
will
yeah,
fly.
you know what? I want to meet Jeff Kabilas too. I saw some of his social media posts from Hustlers and Winnipeg Sports Talks trivia night at Little Brown Jug Brewing. That looked like a lot of fun. I'm with you, Phyllis. The concourse at IG Field is awesome. The fact that you can stand in line for a beer and not miss a moment is pretty great. Yeah.
Turkinator. Yeah. I got to meet you. We almost met each other. Neil, we met. Pumper, Andrea, Sandy, of course. Tamara was on here. Jeffrey. You already said Jeffrey. Concourse is too tight. I'll give you that, Bomber fan. It is.
It can get that way because I think a lot of people just hang out there. They just hang out there.
And who's this Anthony Jerkowski?
What do you mean?
Who is this guy? I've never seen you on the chat before. He's saying, I miss Canadian football. Bombers D got them another one. Just incredible. So miss your football. Well,
thanks for watching, Anthony. Appreciate you
watching, buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so any last words? Like what do we want to finish on here? It's a Labor Day win.
Remember I was telling you how the city was kind of dead? It's probably rocking. It's probably rocking right now. I'm sitting here in a beautiful hotel room that is not mine. I borrowed it just for you out there watching Bonfire Starters and everybody watching on Bonfire Sports YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and then bonfiresports.ca. I kind of want to hit the town at least for a little bit, and
buddy, I want to see what it's like.
Regina.
Yeah,
is that saying too much? Like drink in a little bit of Regina?
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna make fun of me for that. So maybe we should get out of here before the live chat starts to destroy me.
And Anthony lives in Roseville, California. That's super cool.
Nice.
I assume you're from Winnipeg, but yeah, very, very, very cool, man. I'm glad
Randall, appreciate you watching. Yeah, thanks for being on the road. Hey, you're welcome. I'm glad to be here and bring it all as much as I can. Yes, Gregory, I will be safe. Always rolling in packs and ensure that everybody is safe. Hit the parties. Yeah, Craig, I probably will. Let me know if you're around town. I know you're a Saskatchewan guy these days. Maybe we can grab a quick one together. But this was awesome. Love Labor Day. Love the Banjo Bowl, the week and a half that encompasses it all. And I'm sure Bomber fans very happy the Blue Bombers able to come away with a 2018 win in a game that was tied 17-all at halftime. What an unbelievable finish with Marc Liegghio kicking a 55-yarder in Mosaic for the win. The Bombers keep dominating this building since it has opened.
It's amazing. It's always an amazing feeling to beat the Riders, and especially on Labor Day, my friend. And people may not believe me, Darren, but I will say it. In my heart, I really felt that the Bombers needed to get a turnover to win the game. Mm-hmm. The way the game was going, I thought we just need one. And we got it. And Cody Fajardo threw the one ball he shouldn't have thrown. Sure, maybe they were trying. Maybe it was some kind of screen, and that they were going against a run blitz, as one of the chatters said earlier. I'm sure there was a reason they did threw that ball. But this defense, they let a lot of the yards go. But it the perfect part of the game, buddy, when it counted, right?
Yeah.
Willie Jefferson is breathing down his neck. He misses Frankie Hickson to his right. Frankie taps the ball up into the air and gifts it to to Nick Hallett, and nice for Nick Hallett to get a bit of a gift, hey, because he's a backup and he's been grinding and hitting hard. So listen, man, what a great way to win the game, and always fun to win on Labor Day. It doesn't happen very often. Last time we won twice in a row was 2004. So you go and party, my friends. Yes, there were some stabbings in Regina. That it's quite scary, actually. We didn't hit that, but
Rob wants my passwords in case something happens while I'm out tonight. I will be.
He's wearing a black T-shirt, guys. Come on. Everybody loves. Apparently, he has a lot of friends in Saskatchewan. Everybody loves bombing in Saskatchewan.
Well, I don't know if that's true. You know what? I will say this. I'm walking on in the concourse about 3 minutes before kickoff, and three Rider fans, all green jerseys. One of them goes, "Hey, love your work," and I was just like, "Wow." Bonfire is not just about Bomber Nation. There are Rider fans that love watching Bonfire and appreciate it. So that's so cool. Everybody out there, you are Bonfire Sports. The Bonfire is about gathering around and talking sports, getting into the live chat, texting the hotline, calling in, leaving voicemails. I get back to every text and Twitter reply or mention or whatever that I get my way if I'm able to. Sometimes you ask questions or go area sometimes I just can't or choose not to, but I generally get back to everybody. So you guys are the fire starters. You're the reason we do this, and we will continue to do it for you. So appreciate the support. Get over to sia.com/bonfire, sign up. Throw a buck on the game or a buck on the Bombers to win the Grey Cup if you want. Have some fun and support our sponsors, including Joe Daly's Sports Cards. We're going to crack open some more packs on Tuesday's show. I sure hope I can get to. I gotta get another box. We already went through those first, and
did you already?
Get this: we sold a bunch of Rider cards to Riders fans. And Stampeders cards to Stampeders fans. I got enough cash. Big shout out Bomber History on Twitter. Our good friend Katie, brokering these deals with his connections in the sports memorabilia sphere. And we got enough money to get another box of cards. And what we're going to do is collect all the Bombers cards and give those away as a prize here on the channel. It's going to be a ton of fun. But thanks, everybody. Last word to you, Zach, as I head into the night and
buddy,
return to dad duty with the fam back home.
Oh, what? Hold on a second. This mug has still never been claimed by Andrew?
It has not.
So what are we going to do with it? Tuesday, I assume we're giving away more the Sports Vault stuff. Do we have anything left?
Yes, we do. Yeah.
Okay, so tune in Tuesday, folks. Yeah. I think we have to assume Andrew is not going to get the mug. I don't know, man. Well, maybe this is a private conversation.
If you guys know Andrew, or if you can get him to get at us. Otherwise, we'll maybe reprise it when we run out of prizes. And if Andrew eventually gets to us, we'll put something together for him. But appreciate you guys. That's why we love giving back and giving you guys some prizes and things to look forward to.
Buddy Steve is throwing a C into SIA.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
You want to use the exclusive link, sia.com.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah.
Bonfire. And that will ensure to help us here on the channel. Okay, Zach, appreciate you, man. Go tuck your little ones in for the night if they're not already. And,
they're in bed. Are you nuts?
I'm going to go grab a bite to eat. I've been
enjoy, my friend. Thank you. And hey, buddy, we won on Labor Day. Nothing, not much is better aside from the Grey Cup or playoff wins, buddy. And thank you to everyone who joined the chat. Great time. I'm going to rewatch the game.
Welcome.
Oh, there you go.
Come on back. We will do this again on Tuesday. Bonfire midweek live at 7:30 Central Time. And then, of course, leading into the Banjo Bowl, the day before the game, Chris Walby joins me live at 3 o'clock for Game Day Winnipeg. And this man, the Schnitz, Zach Schnitzer will join me right back here on Bonfire Sports for Game Day After Dark following the Banjo Bowl. It's going to be a great one. Bombers win 2018, continue their dominance at Mosaic, 11-1, locking down a playoff spot one way or another. It's early September. They got 11 wins. Things are going the Blue Bombers' way. Zach, you're happy. I'm exhausted.
Dynasty, baby.
Appreciate
Dynasty.
everybody joining us here on the channel. Thanks so much. And hey, yeah, we will see you next time.
Sayonara, everyone. Go Blue.